In the farthest reaches of the northern world, beyond the lands of men, there lies a kingdom carved from silence and frost. Here the air burns with cold, and the horizon dissolves into an ocean of white that stretches without end. The Arctic, a realm where the sun lingers on the edge of the world and the wind carries the voice of eternity. In this place, every breath is a negotiation with death, and every heartbeat is a declaration of survival. The light here is not gentle. It cuts through the haze like glass, painting the snow with colors no human eye was meant to see. Under that light, life does not merely exist. It endures, and what endures becomes extraordinary. Beneath the calm, there is motion, ancient and deliberate, the slow crawl of glaciers, the whisper of ice shifting beneath the sea, the faint echo of a hunter's step carried across miles of frozen wind. This is a world ruled by strength, patience, and instinct, where time itself feels frozen, and life must carve its place against the will of nature. Here, beauty and brutality are one and the same. The Arctic has no mercy for the weak, yet within this vast emptiness dwell creatures that have mastered its every trial. Predators forged by hunger, cold, and competition. They are not the monsters of storybooks, but guardians of balance, born of evolution's finest precision. Every breath they take, every hunt they wage, is a performance of survival as ancient as the ice itself. In the blinding storm, a shadow moves, a polar bear, immense and silent, strides across a sea of glass. Beneath its paws, the ice groans. Yet the beast moves with the calm authority of a king who knows every inch of his kingdom. His fur glows faintly under the low sun, his eyes reflecting the horizon's fire. To see him is to witness both power and fragility. For even kings must fight the cold. Far from him, in the shadow of frozen pines, the lynx waits, muscles tense beneath its fur, ears twitching in the stillness. It is the ghost of the forest, a whisper among trees. Its eyes, twin embers in the pale light, lock onto a flicker of motion, and time itself seems to hold its breath. In the tundra beyond, a pack of wolves drifts across the snow, pale and soundless, their shapes barely distinguishable from the land they command. Each step is coordinated, each movement a silent pact between survival and hunger. Together, they move like smoke over ice, the perfect harmony of unity and instinct. High above, the snowy owl circles, its wings cutting the air without sound. The guardian of the skies, it hunts not from fury, but from precision. One blink, one shadow, and life vanishes beneath its talons. Its golden eyes see through the storm, through distance, through time itself. Beneath the frozen sea, another predator moves in the dark, unseen. The killer whale, black and white and silent as the night sky. It glides through icy waters with an intelligence that borders on something deeper than instinct. Guided by echoes that bounce through the abyss, around it, the Arctic seal darts and dives, its sleek form built for the liquid cold. For every hunter, there is prey. For every life taken, another continues. Nothing here is wasted. Every drop of blood feeds the rhythm of the Arctic, the eternal balance between life and death. This is the law that governs all who call this place home. To live here is to surrender to the rules of the ice. The wind is a sculptor, shaping cliffs, snow, and souls alike. The creatures that endure do not fight the Arctic. They become part of it. Their fur, their breath, their movement, all tuned perfectly to the silence around them. In the pale glow of the aurora, their world shifts between dream and reality. Green and violet light ripple across the heavens like the pulse of some vast unseen heart. And for a moment, the wilderness feels alive, breathing in color and shadow. Yet beneath the beauty lies danger unending. One mistake, one moment of weakness, and the cold will reclaim what it lent. But those who survive, the predators of the Arctic, have learned to make the impossible their art. They are more than animals. They are the embodiment of endurance. The polar bear, the wolf, the owl, the seal, the walrus. Each one a chapter in the story of existence, written in ice and blood. Their world is shrinking, their trials growing harsher. Yet still they move. Still they hunt. Still they rule. Theirs is a beauty beyond comfort, a strength beyond understanding. They do not seek glory, yet in their struggle, they become legends. So when you gaze upon this frozen world, do not see emptiness. See the heartbeat beneath the silence, the fire beneath the frost. For here, in the Arctic's eternal twilight, life burns brighter than anywhere else on Earth. This is not merely a wilderness, it is a test, a cathedral of survival, where every echo, every breath, every flicker of movement tells the story of creation's fiercest will. Welcome to the Arctic, where silence has a voice, where beauty is born from struggle, and where the predators reign supreme. When night falls over the top of the world, it does not fall as darkness, but as a dream of blue and silver that lingers forever on the edge of twilight. The sun dips below the horizon, yet the sky still glows faintly, a ghost light shimmering above the ice. The Arctic never sleeps. It only changes its mask. From blinding white day to quiet, glowing night. In this half-light, the predators awaken. The world seems still. Yet beneath that stillness moves an ancient rhythm, the pulse of survival. A lone wolf lifts its head to the wind. The air is thick with scent, snow, and silence around it. The pack waits, their breath rising like smoke into the cold. They have followed the caribou across miles of frozen tundra, over ridges of ice and plains swept clean by storms. Hunger sharpens every sense. The wolves move as one, silent, patient, relentless. There is no waste here, no chaos. Every motion is purpose, every step measured. When the hunt begins, it is not wild but orchestrated, a dance of instinct older than civilization itself. And when the pack closes in, there is no mercy, only the law of life that has never known pity. Across the frozen sea, another hunter waits, larger, slower, infinitely patient. A polar bear drifts upon a floe of ice, the sea whispering beneath him. For hours, he does not move. The cold wind sweeps across his fur. The frost gathers on his muzzle. And still he waits, beneath the ice. A seal rises for air, unaware that death watches from above. Then, without warning, the calm shatters, a single strike, a burst of motion, and the frozen world explodes into sound and violence. It is over in seconds. The ocean grows quiet again. The bear feeds, not out of cruelty, but necessity. Every meal means survival. Every failure means the slow approach of starvation. In this kingdom of ice, perfection is not luxury, it is law, far beneath the surface. In a world of green shadows and echoing depths, another predator glides, the killer whale. Black and white and carved by evolution's precision, it moves through water colder than steel. Guided by sound instead of sight, a ghost in the deep, its song travels miles through the sea, a conversation carried by the currents. When the pod hunts, the ocean trembles. Coordination, intelligence, and timing weave together into something that feels almost human. They strike with strategy, surrounding seals beneath the ice or driving fish into glittering walls of panic. Then, as the storm of motion subsides, the sea returns to silence. The same silence that has ruled here since time began. Above the ice, the world shimmers with aurora. Curtains of emerald and violet ripple across the heavens. Light that dances but never warms. Below them, the Arctic fox moves through the snow. Small, quick, tireless. It follows the trails of greater hunters, scavenging what they leave behind. Its paws barely leave prints. Its ears twitch with every whisper of the wind. It is the shadow that follows the giants. Proof that even the smallest can survive through cunning and patience. Nothing here is wasted. Every death feeds another life. Every breath contributes to the endless cycle. The Arctic is not cruel. It is precise. Every creature, from the wolf to the tern, from the bear to the hare, exists because it learned to read this precision and to obey it. And yet, within this relentless rhythm, there is grace. Watch the snowy owl descend through the storm. Wings wide, eyes glowing like molten gold. It moves without sound, cutting through the air as if it were part of the wind itself. Its talons strike, a whisper of death in a landscape that knows no mercy. Yet there is beauty in the perfection of that moment. In the Arctic, beauty and death are not enemies. They are one. As dawn returns, pale and uncertain, the tundra glows faintly under the low sun. Steam rises from the breath of the musk oxen, their massive forms huddled together against the cold. Their coats hang heavy, almost brushing the snow. Ancient relics from the Ice Age that refuse to fade. Around them, the wind carries flakes of ice like shards of glass. Yet they stand unmoved, their dark eyes steady beneath their horns. They are monuments of endurance, reminders that strength does not roar. It endures. In the distance, over the cliffs where the sea meets the sky, a cry echoes, high above the crashing waves. Thousands of northern gannets rise into the air. They circle once, twice, then fold their wings and dive. From 40 meters above, they pierce the sea like arrows, bodies transforming from grace to weapon in an instant. Beneath the surface, they chase their prey with ferocity and elegance. Vanishing into the blue depths, the storm rages. But the hunt continues. Every creature here is an artist of survival. The walrus drifts upon the ice, its tusks gleaming like ancient ivory, its whiskers twitching as it feels the movement of clams buried deep below. It does not rush, it waits. It senses, it listens. Then, with a sudden motion, it plunges its massive head beneath the surface, pulling life from the ocean floor. Around it, the herd grunts and bellows, their voices blending into the thunder of the shifting ice. These are the sounds of the Arctic summer, a season of brief abundance and endless motion. For a few short months, the sun refuses to set. Life surges forward with desperate urgency. The snow melts into rivers that carve the land. Flowers bloom in fragile bursts of color, and the animals race to feed, breed, and prepare for the long night to come. Mothers guide their young across the tundra, teaching them the laws of this place. The polar bear shows her cubs how to swim through black waters between floes. The lynx teaches her kits to move without sound. The wolf leads her pups in the rhythm of the pack. Each lesson is written in motion, in patience, in survival. But as the seasons turn, the warmth fades, and the Arctic begins to draw its shroud once more. The rivers freeze, the winds return, and the endless night spreads across the world. In this darkness, every heartbeat matters. Food becomes scarce, the sea ice thickens and cracks like thunder beneath the stars. The predators that remain must fight not only hunger, but exhaustion, cold, and time itself. Yet even now, in this most desolate hour, the Arctic does not die. It transforms. Beneath the ice, the orca's song continues. Across the tundra, the wolves still move, their breath painting clouds into the frozen air. Above the world, the owl hunts by moonlight, its wings gliding through the silence like a memory. The Arctic endures because it must, because it always has. And within its endurance lies a truth deeper than the cold. Survival here is not only strength, it is art. Every creature is a brushstroke upon the canvas of ice. Every motion, every sound, every spark of life is part of a grand design that has existed long before humankind ever looked north and wondered what lay beyond the snow. But now, that design trembles. The ice melts earlier each year. The seas rise. The patterns shift. And the delicate balance that has defined this realm for millennia begins to waver. The predators still hunt, but the ground beneath them changes. The bears swim longer. The wolves travel farther. The seals wait in vain for ice that no longer forms. The Arctic silence is no longer just the sound of nature. It is the echo of something being lost. Yet even as the world warms, there is resilience, there is defiance. For every fragment of ice that drifts away, another creature adapts. For every path that closes, another opens. Life, even here at the edge of the world, refuses to surrender. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson the Arctic offers. To survive is to change, to move, to endure against all odds, to burn quietly in the cold. So listen to the wind as it moves across the snow. Hear the voices of those who came before, the predators, the hunters, the guardians of this frozen realm. Their story is not one of despair, but of persistence. For as long as there is ice, as long as there is wind, as long as the aurora dances across the sky, the Arctic will live, and its masters of survival will remain silent, enduring, eternal. There is a moment Just before the dawn, when the Arctic holds its breath, the sky is a pale shimmer of blue and silver. The wind fades, and even the sea beneath the ice grows still. It is the silence before awakening, the pause before the world remembers to move again. From that silence, life stirs. Far across the tundra, a shape rises through the fog, its white fur glowing in the half-light. A polar bear mother and her cubs emerge from their den, stepping into the world after months of darkness. The cubs blink against the brightness, their tiny paws sinking into fresh snow. The mother moves first, her movements slow but certain. Every step measured, every glance a lesson to her. This land is not hostile, it is home. To survive here, she must read the language of ice and wind as if it were written for her alone. She knows the cracks that sing of danger, the scent that whispers of seals hidden beneath the frozen sea, the faint vibration that tells her where the ocean breathes. She pauses at a ridge, lifting her head toward the horizon where the faint glow of the returning sun begins to touch the ice. The Arctic is waking. In the distance, the cry of a snowy owl echoes, carried across miles of open tundra. High above, the bird sweeps through the cold air, wings outstretched, eyes scanning for movement. Beneath the snow, a lemming stirs, unaware that death hovers above. Then, in a single breath, the owl dives, a rush of wind, a whisper of feathers, and the silence returns. The Arctic does not forgive mistakes. Every creature here lives by instinct, sharpened to a blade. There is no time for doubt, no room for hesitation. Yet, in that unyielding discipline lies something magnificent, the pure rhythm of nature, untouched by hesitation or greed. On the cliffs by the sea, the northern gannets begin to gather. The storm season has passed, and the air is thick with salt and cries. Thousands of birds crowd the ledges, white wings beating in a storm of motion. From afar, they look like snow clinging to the rocks. But up close, the cliffs are alive. Each dive into the ocean below is a test of precision and courage. They fall like arrows, breaking the surface at 100 kilometers an hour, their bodies transforming from air to water in a single, fluid motion. Beneath the waves, they twist and chase, eyes open, lungs burning, wings cutting through the sea like oars. When they rise again, the ocean explodes in silver spray. Above them, the sky fills with wings, a living storm of survival. The Arctic is alive in ways most will never see. Its heartbeat is slow, but it never stops. Every creature, every gust of wind, every shifting flow of ice plays its part in the great orchestra of endurance. Beneath that same ice, the world glows with its own light. Bioluminescent creatures drift in the depths, tiny sparks of blue and green suspended in darkness. Fish with eyes like mirrors move silently, their bodies reflecting the faint shimmer above. Here, in the deep, the killer whale reigns supreme. Up it moves in formation, silent and graceful. Their clicks and calls echo like songs through the cold black water. Each sound carries meaning, a signal, a plan, a story. They are family, bonded by sound and memory. Together, they hunt with precision, driving prey upward, coordinating through unseen patterns of echo and instinct. When they strike, It is with the precision of art, a symphony of motion written by survival itself. And yet, for all its ferocity, there is tenderness too. When a calf is born, the pod gathers around it, forming a circle of protection, pushing it gently toward the surface for its first breath. The Arctic is a paradox. It is a place where strength and compassion exist side by side, where life endures not through dominance, but through connection. On land, the musk oxen stand against the wind. Their long hair drapes over their bodies. Swaying like ancient banners in the storm, they have faced this wind for thousands of years. Through ages of ice and thaw, when wolves approach, the herd does not scatter. Instead, they form a circle, horns outward, calves hidden at the center. Their breath steams in the air. Their hooves dig into the snow, and their unity becomes their armor. The wolves circle, testing the line, searching for weakness. There is none. The moment passes, the predators melt back into the white, and the herd remains unbroken. Survival here is not about conquest. It is about balance, understanding, respect for the rhythm that governs all things. As the sun climbs higher, the ice begins to shift and groan. Rivers of meltwater carve paths across the tundra, feeding the hidden life below. Arctic foxes emerge from their dens, their coats now soft gray instead of white, matching the stones and lichen of summer. They move quickly, scavenging leftovers from the wolves, catching birds, or digging for eggs. In this brief window of warmth, life rushes forward in a frenzy of growth and hunger. Flowers bloom where snow once stood, their colors startling against the endless white. Bees hum across the tundra, tiny miracles of motion in a place that was frozen solid just weeks before. The Arctic transforms, and with it, every heart that beats within it. But beauty in the Arctic is never without warning, for even in summer, the ice never truly leaves. It waits, patient and silent, beneath the rivers and seas, preparing to reclaim its throne. The air begins to cool again. The days shorten, and the animals return to their eternal preparation. The walrus herd moves toward the ice, their heavy bodies gliding through the gray water. The mothers keep their calves close, lifting them onto the floes when they tire. On the edges of the world, where the land dissolves into sea, they gather by the hundreds, their tusks gleaming under the fading sun. Their calls echo across the waves, a deep chorus that sounds like memory itself. And as night falls once more, the aurora returns. It unfolds slowly across the sky, a river of green and gold flowing between the stars. The light moves as if alive, pulsing with rhythm, painting the snow with fire. The Arctic sleeps beneath that light, but it is never still. Beneath the surface, beneath the silence, life continues its work. A seal surfaces through a hole in the ice, breath steaming, whiskers glittering with frost. It listens, cautious, knowing that somewhere above, the bear is waiting. The wind shifts, the ice groans, and the world holds its breath again. The circle never ends. The Arctic has no beginning and no end, only change. Every creature that calls it home carries the memory of those before it. The instincts passed down like stories whispered through generations. They remember the migrations, the storms, the hunts, the narrow escapes. Each generation adds its own chapter to the book of survival written across the ice. And as the human world watches from afar, distant and fascinated, the Arctic continues its story. Unchanged and unbroken, it does not seek attention. It does not need witnesses. It simply is. Yet the truth is this: to know the Arctic is to know the limits of life itself. It is to understand that survival is not born from strength alone, but from the will to adapt, to endure, to change. It is to realize that beauty is not found in comfort, but in the places that test us most. So listen to the wind that crosses the frozen sea. Listen to the quiet heartbeat beneath the snow. It speaks of the predators who rule this world, the polar bear who walks the ice like a ghost, the wolf who commands the silence, the owl who sees in darkness, the seal who breathes between worlds, and the orca whose song echoes through eternity. Together, they are the voice of the Arctic, the guardians of balance, the last keepers of a realm that defies the world's warmth. The Arctic is not dying, it is speaking. And if we listen, truly listen, we will hear the story it has told for thousands of years, the story of endurance, of beauty born in the cold, of life that refuses to fade, even when the light itself grows weak. For in the end, the Arctic is not a place on a map. It is a testament to survival, a living memory carved in ice and time. And as long as the wind still howls across its frozen plains, as long as the aurora still burns above its sleeping seas, the Arctic will endure, silent, eternal, and alive. There are places on this planet that defy the imagination. Places where time slows to the rhythm of wind and ice, and where life itself feels ancient, eternal, almost sacred. The Arctic is one of those places. When the long night fades and the first light of spring spills across the frozen horizon, it feels as though the world is being born again. The sun hovers low, never climbing high, casting long shadows that stretch endlessly across the snow. In that golden half-light, the land breathes. You can hear it if you listen the slow crack of distant ice, the faint cry of a bird returning home, the sigh of wind brushing across untouched drifts. It is a symphony of silence and motion, a delicate balance that holds together the coldest realm on Earth. From this awakening, the hunters rise once more. The Arctic wolf lifts its head to the faint warmth of dawn, fur glowing silver in the light. Around it, the pack begins to stir, lean bodies shaking off the frost of the night. They have survived another winter. And now, the hunt begins anew. Across the tundra, their tracks form long lines that disappear into the mist. They are built for this land, muscles tuned to endurance, senses sharpened to perfection, hearts bound to one another in unity. When they move with purpose. When they run, it is not chaos, but choreography. A silent language of glances and gestures passed down through generations. The leader lowers its head, sniffing the air. A herd of musk oxen grazes miles away, unaware of the ghosts closing in. The wolves advance like a shadow spreading over the snow, each step deliberate, each movement calculated. The world holds its breath. Then the tundra erupts into motion. The herd gathers tight, horns locking, forming a wall of defiance. The wolves circle, testing the edges, seeking a weakness. There is no cruelty here, only necessity. The Arctic does not waste energy on hate. Life and death are partners in a dance that has never known pity. Only balance. When the hunt ends, the wolves feed, their breath rising in pale clouds. The snow is marked with the story of survival, written in prints and red streaks that will soon vanish under the wind. Far above, the ravens circle, black wings glinting like shards of obsidian against the pale sky. They are the watchers, the scavengers, the storytellers of the Arctic. Nothing escapes their gaze. They wait, patient and unbothered, knowing that even in this desolate world, there is always something to claim. As the wolves rest, the sun climbs higher, casting light across the sea ice. There, miles away, the polar bear roams, alone, immense, and silent. It moves with the grace of a creature born from stillness, its paws spread wide to tread softly across the ice, its breath misting in the air. Every movement conserves energy. Every decision is survival. The bear stops at a seal's breathing hole, lowering its head. The patience that follows feels infinite. Minutes become hours. The sea beneath the ice murmurs softly. The world above utterly still. Then, a faint splash. A flicker of movement, and the ice explodes into violence. The bear strikes with precision born of hunger, and the silence returns, unbroken but changed. In this kingdom, victory is never celebration, it is continuation. The bear feeds not for pleasure, but for endurance. Around him, the Arctic wind howls, as if to remind him that peace here is fleeting, that tomorrow will demand the same fight again. Under the ice, a different world unfolds. In the cold, green depths, the orcas move in perfect harmony, a family gliding through a cathedral of water, their voices echoing like ancient hymns. Each call, each click, is part of a conversation that stretches across miles of sea. Their coordination is flawless, their unity unbreakable. They are hunters, but also caretakers, guiding their young through the endless cold, teaching them to read the sea's whispers as easily as others read the stars. Their hunt is art synchronized, elegant, inevitable. When they strike, it is with intelligence, not fury. Above them, the surface shatters as the aurora glows faintly through the ice. Streaks of green light bending through the water. It is as though the heavens themselves have descended into the sea. On the cliffs, where the tundra meets the ocean, life clings in defiance of gravity and cold. The seabirds return in roaring waves, filling the air with sound. Puffins, kittiwakes, guillemots, all drawn back by the pull of instinct. The eternal call to continue. Their wings slice through the salty wind, their cries echoing against the stone. Below, the waves crash endlessly, carving away at the land, reshaping it bit by bit. The Arctic is never truly still. It is alive in its transformations, its endless sculpting by time and tide. Amid all this motion, the smaller lives play their part. The Arctic fox trots lightly over the snow, its fur shifting from white to gray with the seasons change. It follows the paths left by wolves and bears, scavenging what remains, surviving on what the great hunters leave behind. Its nose twitches, its eyes sharp, always searching. It is cunning, quick, resilient, a survivor in miniature, The fox knows that power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and in a world of giants, it is the whisperers who endure. As summer approaches, the ice retreats, revealing colors few expect from this frozen realm. The tundra bursts into life, green moss, yellow flowers, crimson lichens spreading like fire across the hills. For a few short months, the Arctic becomes a garden under endless sunlight. The air fills with insects, with birdsong, with the sound of rushing meltwater. It is a season of frenzy, of abundance, of urgent life. The polar bear swims farther now, chasing the last floes that drift like broken mirrors across the sea. The wolves roam wider, their tracks mingling with those of migrating caribou. The walruses haul themselves onto the beaches, their massive bodies packed close together, the air thick with their calls and the stench of salt and life. Every creature knows that this feast will not last. Even at the height of warmth, the shadow of winter lingers. The Arctic's generosity is brief, and those who live here must take everything it offers while it lasts. As the months turn, the light begins to fade. The sun dips lower each day, the horizon glowing longer, softer, until one day, it does not rise at all. The long night returns. The world slips once more into silence and frost. Yet, even in that darkness, life continues its quiet work. The snow seals itself over old tracks. The wind erases the past, but beneath the ice, beneath the stars, hearts still beat. Wings still cut through air. Paws still press against frozen earth. The Arctic dreams, not in sleep, but in endurance. And that endurance is what makes it eternal. To witness this land is to witness a paradox, a place of death that overflows with life. A place of silence that speaks in every gust of wind. A place of isolation that connects all things. The predators of the Arctic are not conquerors, they are custodians. The living symbols of nature's most honest truth, that beauty and survival are the same thing. When the aurora rises again above the endless ice, painting the sky in rivers of green and violet flame, it feels as though the world itself exhales. Beneath that light, the wolves lift their heads and howl, a sound that carries across valleys, overseas. Through the heart of everything living, it is not a cry of hunger or rage. It is a declaration, a reminder, a song of existence. The Arctic is alive. It has always been alive. And even as the world beyond grows warmer and louder, this frozen kingdom will continue to whisper its truth to those willing to listen. That survival is not cruelty. It is art. That silence is not emptiness. It is meaning. And that life, even here at the edge of the world, will always find a way to endure. There comes a point in every Arctic story when the silence grows so deep it feels alive. When the world holds its breath, and even the wind forgets how to move, that is when the Arctic reveals its true face. It is no longer the kingdom of white we imagine, but a place layered with memory, shadow, and light. Beneath its frozen skin lies the heartbeat of the planet. Slow, steady, eternal. Here, survival is not an act of defiance, but a form of worship. A daily ritual offered to the elements that rule without mercy. The polar night has returned. For months now, the sun has not risen, and the horizon is painted only in shades of deep blue and faint silver. The stars burn brighter here, as if closer, as if the sky itself has leaned down to listen. Under their light, the ice glows faintly, reflecting constellations that have watched over this land for millennia, somewhere. In that endless dark, a polar bear moves. Its fur glimmers in the starlight, its breath crystallizing in the air. Each step is slow, deliberate, and purposeful. It walks not with haste, but with understanding. The bear knows that speed wastes energy, that patience feeds survival. Beneath the ice, the ocean murmurs softly, a language of creaks and whispers that only the Arctic understands. The bear pauses, listening. A faint vibration beneath its paws tells it everything. It knows the tide, the movement of fish, the rhythm of the sea. It knows where to wait. In the Arctic, knowledge is power, and patience is weapon. For hours, it remains still, a statue carved of snow and willpower. Then, a flicker. The surface trembles. The bear strikes. The seal never saw it coming. The moment is over in seconds. Yet within that moment, the law of the Arctic is fulfilled, the balance preserved, the silence restored. This is not cruelty. It is order. The unspoken contract between hunter and hunted that has existed since the first dawn. In another part of this frozen world, far inland, the wolves rise. Their silhouettes move like smoke between the drifts. White on white, almost invisible, they are the heartbeat of the tundra. The unseen architects of balance. Their presence keeps herds moving, ensures the land never grows stagnant. When they hunt, it is not for pleasure, it is for harmony. The pack moves as one, guided by invisible signals, ear twitches, glances. The smallest shift of muscle, it is a language without words. Precise and ancient, they follow the scent of musk oxen, their breath steaming in the cold air. The wind sharpens, cutting through fur and bone alike. The wolves press on. They have done this for generations, across endless winters, across lands that remember their ancestors. They do not think of victory, only of continuation. In their endurance lies their glory. Above them, the night shivers with movement. The aurora spills across the sky, green fire rippling in slow waves. It is as though the heavens themselves are breathing. The wolves look up for a moment, eyes catching the light. The world feels larger, older, infinite, and still they run. In the sea, the killer whales continue their silent passage. Beneath the frozen ceiling, they glide through black water, their bodies reflecting ghostly light from above. The matriarch leads, her scars telling stories of decades of survival. Her pod follows close, trusting her voice, the series of clicks and tones that guide them through this labyrinth of ice. They know the roots, the rhythms, the ancient highways of the sea. Their lives are maps written in sound, passed down from mother to calf, generation to generation. When they hunt, they do so as one mind, one body. The pod encircles a school of fish, tightening, driving the prey into a shimmering sphere. Then, in perfect unison, they strike. The sea erupts in chaos and color. Flashes of silver and black under the green aurora above. And when it ends, they share their prize, their echoes fading back into the stillness. There is no waste here, no greed, only balance. On the surface, the Arctic fox waits for its moment. the wind shifts, bringing with it the scent of the hunt. The fox darts across the snow, swift and sure. Following the trails left by the wolves, it digs where they fed, finding scraps of life left behind. Its survival depends on the remnants of others. And in that dependency, there is beauty. It reminds us that the smallest creature has a place, that even in the harshest lands, nothing is ever truly alone. As the months pass, the darkness begins to wane. The first light returns, faint and trembling on the horizon. The Arctic awakens once more. The snow sparkles under the newborn sun, and the air hums with energy. The fox's fur shifts to brown, blending with the thawing tundra. The seals return to the open water, diving beneath the melting flows. The polar bear follows, driven by the scent of the sea, by hunger and instinct. It swims between icebergs, each stroke a testament to its power. Beneath it, the water glows with life: fish, jellyfish, plankton drifting like stars in liquid night. The Arctic is stirring. Soon the birds will return: the gannets, the puffins, the terns. They come from thousands of miles away, guided by the pulse of the earth itself. The cliffs that were silent all winter will erupt with sound, the air thick with wings and cries. Each bird returns to the same ledge, the same stone, year after year. As if drawn by memory, they build, they feed, they fight for a short, feverish season. The Arctic becomes a storm of life, and just as quickly, it will quiet again. The rhythm never falters. Life rises and falls with the ice, and everything here moves to that eternal cadence. As summer deepens, the tundra turns into a mosaic of green and gold. The musk oxen graze lazily under the sun that never sets. The rivers thaw, carving through the land like veins of silver. The wolves rest in the tall grass, watching the horizon, their eyes half closed but always alert. The polar bears wander the coastline, searching for ice that drifts farther north each year. And high above them, the Arctic tern begins its impossible journey, flying from pole to pole, chasing summer across the world. Its wings beat through time and distance, following the sun across oceans and continents. In that fragile body lives the memory of the Earth itself, a journey older than civilization, repeated without fail. But beneath the beauty, the Arctic changes. The ice melts earlier now. The sea rises. The old paths vanish. The predators still move. But the land they once ruled shifts beneath their feet. The bear swims longer. The wolves follow herds that no longer pass where they once did. The orcas hunt closer to the shore. Where once there was solid ice, even the fox finds its range shrinking, its dens flooded, its prey retreating northward. The Arctic is not dying, but it is evolving, reshaping itself under the weight of change. Yet, even now, even in its transformation, it remains breathtaking. The aurora still dances. The snow still gleams. The predators still endure. Because endurance is what defines this place. The Arctic does not resist change. It absorbs it. It bends. It breaks. It reforms, just as it always has. The creatures that call it home carry that same truth within them. They do not fear the storm, for they are born of it. They do not flee the cold, for it is the air they breathe. Their strength lies not in defiance, but in acceptance. To survive here is to understand that everything must yield eventually to the ice, to the wind, to the tide, and yet still rise again, as the sun circles endlessly above the horizon, casting golden fire across the ice. The Arctic seems eternal once more. The wolves howl to the fading night. The orcas sing beneath the waves. The bear stands upon a drifting floe, eyes fixed on the horizon where sea and sky become one. It is waiting not in despair, but in faith, because here, at the edge of the world, life has always found a way. The Arctic's silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of endurance. It is the whisper of time itself. And as long as that silence remains, as long as the ice still breathes and the wind still moves across the snow, the story of the Arctic will continue cold, magnificent, and unbroken. For this is not the end. It is another beginning. The predators will hunt again. The light will return again. The balance will hold. Fragile, yet eternal. And the Arctic, in all its quiet majesty, will keep teaching the same lesson it has whispered for thousands of years: that to live is to endure, and to endure is to be alive. When the wind returns to the Arctic, it comes like a voice from another age, ancient and unyielding, whispering across the ice as if reciting the oldest story ever told. The long sun of summer has faded, and the sky turns again to shades of violet and blue. The horizon blurs into a single line of cold light. The Arctic breathes in deeply, and with that breath, the world begins to change once more. The rivers freeze, the tundra hardens, and the silence grows heavier, thicker, alive. But this is not an ending. It is a reset, the turning of a timeless wheel, where everything that has endured before prepares to endure again. In the far distance, a lone wolf stands upon a ridge, its fur catching the dim light like a ghost against the twilight. The pack is below, their shapes moving as one across the plain. The caribou have begun their migration, and the wolves follow, guided not by sight, but by instinct so old it feels like memory itself. The wind howls through the frozen grass, and still they move. Their paws strike the snow in rhythm, steady, relentless. Each breath is steam, each step a promise that hunger will not win today. The wolves do not hunt because they choose to. They hunt because the Arctic demands it, and in return, they keep the balance. For every life taken, another thrives. For every silence broken by their howls, another settles deeper into peace. The pack finds its prey, a small group, separated from the herd. The lead wolf signals with nothing more than a flick of an ear, and the hunt begins. It is not chaos, but choreography. Every movement is calculated, every strike deliberate. The tundra becomes a stage for the rawest form of survival. When it ends, the wolves feed, their breath rising like smoke, their eyes glinting in the half-light. There is no triumph here, no cruelty, only the continuation of the ancient law: life from death, endurance from hunger, the unbroken circle that defines this place. Far away, near the edge of the sea ice, a polar bear walks the frozen expanse. The ocean beneath him shifts and groans, a living thing with a heartbeat of waves and current. The bear has traveled miles since the last hunt, driven by the scent of seals and the pull of instinct. Hunger is his companion now, heavy and familiar. The Arctic tests its kings without mercy. For even power must prove itself against the cold. He pauses by a crack in the ice, lowering his head to listen. The sound is faint, distant, but unmistakable, the soft exhale of a seal surfacing for air. The bear waits. Minutes pass, then an hour, then another. Still, he waits, motionless, a statue of patience. When the moment comes, it is swift. The ice shatters. The ocean erupts. And in that instant, the bear reclaims his right to survive. He feeds beneath a sky streaked with aurora. Green and violet light spilling across his fur like the blessing of the gods. Around him, the Arctic watches, silent and eternal, under the waves. The orcas move through the black water like shadows carved from moonlight. They sing to one another in low, haunting tones, their voices echoing through the deep like ancient prayers. The matriarch leads, guiding her pod through shifting channels of ice. She has seen these waters change with every season, every year, every decade. She knows where the currents are strong, where the fish will gather, where the danger lies. Her wisdom is not learned, it is inherited, passed down through generations that swam these same depths long before humankind ever looked north. The young follow her closely, their fins slicing through the cold water. They listen, they imitate, they learn. In their echoing songs lies the memory of the world itself. When they breach the surface, the sea explodes in spray and light. The aurora shimmers above. The ice glows beneath. And for one perfect second, it feels as though the universe is breathing through them. On land, the smaller creatures move with quiet purpose. The Arctic fox darts between snowdrifts, its fur now pure white again, blending perfectly into its world. Its eyes gleam like amber jewels in the dark. It listens for the faintest sound, the rustle of a lemming beneath the snow, the distant cry of a bird overhead. Every heartbeat is a calculation. Every motion must matter. It digs swiftly, bursts forward, and disappears into the drift. A moment later, it emerges with its prize, tail flicking in triumph. Even the smallest hunter holds a kingdom here, carved from instinct and hunger. Above the cliffs, the snowy owl returns to her perch, feathers dusted with frost. Eyes fixed on the horizon, she has survived the summer storms, the endless daylight, the scarcity of prey. Now, as the world freezes again, she reigns in silence, her wings open against the twilight, and she glides through the cold like a spirit untethered by time. The sound of her flight is no sound at all, just the gentle shifting of air that feels more like thought than motion. When she dives, it is with grace so complete it borders on reverence. She strikes, she rises, and the Arctic watches, unchanged. The seasons move in their eternal rhythm. But the Arctic is not immune to time. The ice grows thinner each year. The storms come sooner. The summers linger longer. The balance begins to tremble. The bear swims farther. The wolves range wider. The orcas hunt closer to land. Even the fox senses it. The way the snow comes later. The ground softens beneath its paws, yet still they adapt. That is their gift, the ability to change without surrendering the essence of what they are. They bend but do not break. They endure not by force, but by grace. As the first blizzards return, the Arctic tightens its grip once more. The world turns white again. The storms sweep across the plains, blinding and furious, tearing at everything that dares to stand against them. The wolves huddle together, sharing warmth. The bear finds shelter among the ice ridges, his fur coated in frost, his heart beating steady and strong. The fox curls in its den, tail wrapped around its nose, eyes half closed but always alert. Even in the fury of the storm, life continues. The Arctic does not pause for comfort, nor does it wait for mercy. It simply moves forward. One breath, one heartbeat, one cycle at a time. When the storm finally passes, a strange calm settles over the land. The world gleams under the faint glow of the moon, every surface glittering like glass. The silence that follows feels almost holy. It is the kind of silence that humbles even the wind, that makes every creature stop and listen. In that silence lies the truth of the Arctic. It does not fight for attention. It does not beg to be understood. It simply exists. Eternal, unbroken, magnificent. As dawn breaks once more, the first rays of sun spill across the snow. The light touches the fur of the wolves, the feathers of the owl, the ice on the bear's back, the breath of the fox. For a moment, everything glows. The Arctic awakens again. The predators rise. The prey stirs. The endless dance resumes. It is a world without vanity, without noise, without waste. And in that purity lies its power. To watch it is to see life distilled to its purest form, harsh, fragile, unstoppable. The Arctic does not ask to be loved. It demands to be respected. It does not welcome weakness, but it rewards resilience. Every creature that survives here has earned its place through struggle and grace alike. The wolves howl again, their voices rolling across the frozen plains, echoing against the cliffs and out over the sea. It is not a cry of sorrow or hunger. It is a song of existence, a declaration that even in the coldest, loneliest place on earth, life endures. The aurora answers, rippling across the sky in waves of light that move like breath. And as those colors dance above the endless white, the Arctic speaks once more, not in words, but in feeling, in rhythm, in truth. It tells us that survival is not about domination, but about harmony. That beauty is not found in comfort, but in endurance, that even in a world of ice and silence, there can be warmth, there can be life, there can be hope, for as long as the wind moves and the ice breathes, as long as the wolves still run and the bears still walk, the Arctic will remain a monument to what it means to live. And when the world beyond forgets, when the noise of civilization drowns out the old songs of nature, the Arctic will still whisper to those who listen, reminding them of what is eternal. That strength is quiet. That beauty is cold. That life, no matter how fragile, will always find a way through the snow. There is a saying whispered among explorers who have seen the farthest ends of the earth, that the Arctic does not reveal itself to those who rush. It only speaks to those who wait. And so, in the stillness between storms, when the wind quiets and the light softens, the Arctic begins to tell its story again, a story of endurance, of beauty born from brutality, of life that survives not in spite of the cold, but because of it. The air tastes sharp, metallic, filled with the scent of ice and distant salt, the horizon stretches endlessly. A pale ocean of frost meeting a sky of glass. Here, time feels different. It does not move in hours or days, but in seasons. In the slow rhythm of freezing and thawing, in the breath of the wind, in the heartbeat of the earth beneath the snow, and in this timeless world, every creature carries its own chapter, high above. The Arctic tern glides effortlessly across the open sky. It has traveled farther than any other creature on the planet. From the edge of the world to its opposite end and back again. Each feather has tasted two poles, two extremes of existence. It rides the wind with precision, never faltering, guided by an instinct that no human instrument could ever replicate. Its wings cut through the thin light, tracing lines across the sky like a quill writing upon the horizon. For this tiny bird, life is an eternal journey, a migration of faith, of endurance, of purpose. Beneath it, the world of ice and shadow continues its slow dance. A polar bear moves along the frozen coastline, his breath misting in the cold, his fur glowing faintly beneath the aurora. He pauses at the water's edge, sniffing the air. Somewhere beneath the ice, the sea breathes, alive with movement and sound. The bear listens. His patience is a weapon, his stillness a kind of power. Every sense is tuned to survival. When he moves again, it is with grace, so measured it feels like ritual. He is more than a hunter. He is the embodiment of the Arctic itself, quiet, watchful, unstoppable, far inland, under a sky washed in silver light. The wolves rise once more. The tundra hums beneath their paws. Frozen, yet alive, their fur blends seamlessly into the snow. Their eyes gleam with ancient fire. The pack moves like smoke, silent and sure. Each step in rhythm with the breath of the land. Ahead of them, the caribou herd stretches across the horizon. A moving river of life flowing through desolation. The wolves follow, not from cruelty, but from the unspoken agreement that has shaped this land since time began. Predator and prey, hunter and hunted, bound together in an endless, sacred cycle. The leader lowers his head, catching a scent in the wind. The signal is given not in sound, but in motion. A subtle shift of muscle and glance. The pack fans out, spreading across the plain. The hunt begins. The tundra explodes with motion. Snow scattering beneath hooves and claws. There is no chaos here, only precision. Nature, in its purest form, is not violent, it is necessary. When the chase ends, the wolves feed, their breath rising in clouds that merge with the mist. The land falls silent again, and balance is restored. The Arctic has no waste, no greed, only the rhythm of survival. Across the frozen sea, the orcas continue their migration. Beneath the ice, their songs echo through the deep, low and haunting, weaving through the dark water like threads of memory. They are a family, moving with purpose and unity, guided by generations of knowledge passed through sound and instinct. The matriarch leads them, her presence both commanding and calm. She knows these waters better than any map. She knows the cracks where the ice is thin, the currents that will carry them home. Her call resonates through the depths, answered by her kin. In their language lies wisdom older than humanity itself. a story written in echoes, a song that will never fade. Above them, the aurora ripples through the sky, painting the world in shifting green and gold. It moves like a living thing, a silent symphony that dances to the pulse of the earth. For a moment, the ice, the sea, and the light become one. It is a sight so pure, so impossibly vast, that even the wind seems to stop and watch. On the cliffs that rise above the sea, the gannets have returned. Thousands of wings beat against the cold air, filling the sky with a roar of motion. The cliffs are alive with sound calls, cries, the constant rhythm of wings. Each bird knows its place among the chaos, its own ledge, its own mate, its own purpose. When they dive, it is with a precision that defies belief. They plummet from the sky, slicing into the ocean like spears of light, disappearing beneath the waves only to rise again. Fish glinting in their beaks, every movement is instinct, every flight is survival. And yet, within that survival, there is beauty beyond comprehension. In the midst of all this, the Arctic fox darts between rocks, its paws barely sinking into the snow. It moves quickly, ears twitching, eyes sharp. It follows the trails of others, the bears, the wolves, the birds, knowing that life here is built on connection. What one leaves behind, another will find. What one takes, another will reclaim. The fox pauses, nose to the wind, fur glowing under the faint light of dawn. It is not a creature of dominance or strength, but of adaptation. And in this place, that makes it powerful, the Arctic rewards those who listen, not those who conquer. The sun rises again, low and distant, casting long shadows across the ice. The light glows softly, turning the snow into a sea of diamonds. Beneath that glow, the musk oxen move slowly, their breath steaming, their fur heavy with frost. They are the survivors of another age, relics of a colder earth that has long since changed. They stand in quiet defiance of extinction, their horns gleaming, their eyes calm. When the wind howls, they turn their backs to it. When predators come, they form their circle, the young protected within. Together, they stand as one. Unity is their armor, patience their strength. In a land where everything changes, they remain constant. Yet even as the old rhythms continue, something new stirs beneath the surface. The ice melts sooner now. The sea grows warmer. The balance trembles. The predators still hunt, but their world is shifting under their feet. The bear swims longer. The seal rests on smaller flows. The fox searches farther for prey. The wolves cross rivers that were once frozen solid, chasing herds that no longer follow the old paths. The Arctic is changing, and its inhabitants must change with it. But they do not give up. They never have, because the Arctic's greatest truth is not in its stillness, but in its resilience. It is a place that has seen extinction and rebirth, collapse and renewal. Time and again, the ice retreats, and the land beneath it blooms. The seasons bend, but the circle holds. Life, in its quiet defiance, endures. As night returns once more, the sky ignites with aurora, colors flowing across the heavens like the brushstrokes of a dream. The wolves lift their heads and howl, their voices rising in harmony with the wind. The bear rests upon the drifting ice, eyes half closed, body rising and falling with the sea. Beneath him, the orcas sing, the Arctic breathes. It is a world caught between fragility and power, silence and sound, death and life. It is everything that exists between the first heartbeat and the last breath. And though the ice may shift and the world may warm, the spirit of this place will never fade. Because the Arctic is not merely a location, it is a lesson. It teaches that beauty is not born from comfort, but from endurance. That survival is not domination, but harmony. That even in the coldest darkness, life will find a way to shine. When you look upon this frozen expanse, you do not just see ice and snow, you see time itself, carved into the earth, whispered through the wind, reflected in the eyes of the predators who rule this realm. The Arctic is a mirror of existence, showing us who we are and what we might become. Its silence is not emptiness, it is meaning. Its stillness is not death, it is balance. And as long as the aurora dances, as long as the ice breathes, as long as the wolves still sing beneath the stars, the Arctic will live wild, untamed, eternal. There are moments in the Arctic when time seems to stop, when the air becomes so still that even the whisper of snow feels like a heartbeat. The sun lingers just below the horizon, painting the ice in shades of violet and silver. And in that haunting light, the world feels suspended between dream and memory. This is the hour when the predators rise, when silence becomes their ally and survival becomes their art. The Arctic, in its frozen beauty, is not a place for the faint-hearted. It is a realm ruled by patience, precision, and power, where every breath carries the weight of eternity. The polar bear stands alone upon the drifting ice, its reflection stretching across the black water below. The wind brushes against its fur, and for a moment, it seems less a creature than a ghost, an ancient spirit wandering the edge of the world. Hunger burns within him, but he does not rush. In this kingdom, haste is death. His eyes scan the horizon, his nose tastes the air, and his body becomes one with the rhythm of the sea. Beneath him, life stirs unseen. A seal rises toward a small crack in the ice, seeking air. Unaware that death waits above, the bear crouches, muscles tightening, heart steady. And then, in a flash of motion, the surface erupts. The hunt is over before the sound fades. The Arctic gives and the Arctic takes, each life feeding the balance that has existed since the beginning. There is no cruelty here, no waste, only the unbroken law of endurance. Far from the sea, the wolves move through the tundra like living shadows. Their fur gleams under the pale light, their eyes sharp with hunger and focus. The pack spreads wide, silent, organized, a single mind moving through many bodies. Ahead, the caribou herd moves across the frozen plain, their hooves clattering softly against the crusted snow. The wolves know this pattern, have lived it countless times. It is not a battle, but a ritual. The leader signals, barely a motion of the ear, and the pack flows forward. The air fills with sound, the thunder of hooves, the hiss of snow, the rhythm of pursuit. For a moment, predator and prey move as one, bound together by the same heartbeat. When it ends, the silence returns. heavier than before. The wolves feed, not with celebration, but with reverence. Each bite honors the law that governs all life here. They take what they need, leave what remains, and vanish once more into the white. High above, the sky opens into a curtain of color. The aurora dances in slow, hypnotic waves, painting the frozen world in emerald and gold. The light moves like breath, like the pulse of some vast unseen heart. The predators look up, their eyes catching the glow. It is as though the heavens themselves are watching, reminding every living thing of its place in the endless circle of existence. Beneath that light, the Arctic breathes quiet, powerful, alive. Beneath the ice, in the deep green darkness, another kingdom thrives. The killer whales move through the water in perfect formation, their calls echoing like music through the cold abyss. The matriarch leads them, her voice steady, her wisdom vast. Around her, the younger ones glide, learning the ancient ways, the songs that chart the currents, the roots, the seasons. Their world is one of sound and silence, of unity and trust. When they hunt, it is with precision that borders on artistry. They circle their prey, communicating through whispers of sonar, orchestrating their strike with the grace of dancers and the power of storms. When the hunt ends, the sea grows still once more, and the pod moves on, their songs fading into distance. Above the frozen cliffs, the snowy owl watches. Her feathers blend seamlessly with the light, her eyes glowing gold against the dark. She has seen generations rise and fall beneath her wings, has watched the ice melt and freeze again, the tides of life shifting with the seasons. She moves only when she must, her flight silent, her strike swift. For her, survival is poetry written in motion. Every glide, every pause, every heartbeat is calculated. She does not dominate this world, she belongs to it. As dawn breaks, faint and fragile, the Arctic fox stirs from its burrow. The world around it is still asleep. Blanketed in frost, it steps lightly across the snow, nose twitching, ears flicking. It follows the faint scent of a meal left behind by the wolves. The fox moves with purpose but not greed. It understands the hierarchy, the rhythm. What one creature begins, another completes. In the Arctic, nothing is wasted, even in death. There is purpose. The fox finds a scrap, devours it quickly, and moves on, leaving no trace. Its small form disappears into the white, a ghost among giants. And so, the day unfolds, slow and deliberate. The Arctic is not a land of chaos. It is a cathedral of order. Every gust of wind, every shift of snow, every cry that echoes across the tundra is part of an ancient symphony. It has played for thousands of years, unchanged yet ever new. But beneath its timeless beauty, something stirs a subtle shift, a fragile imbalance. The ice melts earlier each season. The seas grow warmer. The balance begins to tremble. The polar bears swim longer, chasing ice that drifts farther away. The wolves chase herds that no longer migrate as they once did. The orcas find new waters, their songs echoing through changing seas. The Arctic is not dying, it is transforming. It has done so countless times before, reshaping itself through ages of fire and frost. Yet this time, the change feels different, faster, unforgiving. Still, the creatures endure. Because endurance is written into their bones, they do not resist the change, they adapt to it. They find new paths, new rhythms, new ways to survive. This is the Arctic's greatest secret. It does not fight against time. It becomes one with it. The storm arrives suddenly, sweeping across the ice with a force that feels almost alive. The wind screams. The snow blinds. The horizon disappears. The wolves huddle together, sharing warmth. The bear lowers its head, anchoring itself against the gale. The owl tucks into a hollow. The fox curls deep within its den. The storm rages for hours, perhaps days. Yet when it ends, when the wind finally fades, the Arctic stands untouched. The snow is sculpted into new shapes. The ice gleams under the moonlight. And life begins again. This is what it means to live here, to endure the storm and rise from it unchanged. When night falls, the aurora returns. Dancing brighter than before, the light sweeps across the frozen plains, reflecting in the eyes of every creature that still breathes. The wolves lift their heads and howl. Their song rises through the cold air, carrying the spirit of every life that has ever walked this land. It is not a song of sorrow, it is a song of remembrance, of belonging. The Arctic answers in silence, and together, they fill the night with meaning. In this frozen world, beauty is not found in comfort or ease. It is found in struggle, in persistence, in the quiet strength that refuses to fade. Every creature here, from the bear to the fox, from the whale to the owl, carries that strength within them. It is the pulse that connects them all, the rhythm of the Arctic itself. The ice will melt, and it will freeze again. The winds will rise, and they will calm. The sun will vanish, and it will return. The cycle will continue, as it always has, because this land is not defined by what changes, but by what endures. The Arctic is not fragile. It is eternal. It is a memory carved into the heart of the planet, a story written in ice and breath. And as long as there are eyes to see it, hearts to feel it, voices to tell it, the Arctic will live on. For in the end, the Arctic is not just a place, it is a reflection of all life. It is proof that even in the harshest conditions, beauty thrives, that even in the deepest silence, there is song, that even in the coldest darkness, there is light, and that as long as the earth continues to turn, somewhere far to the north, under the shimmering veil of the aurora, life will still endure, fierce and unbroken, in the eternal heart of the ice. There are places on this earth where silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something greater. A kind of sacred stillness that hums beneath the surface of existence. The Arctic is one of those places. Here, every breath of wind, every flicker of light, every crack of ice carries a weight that feels ancient and infinite. To stand here is to feel both the smallest and the most connected being in the universe. To understand that life, even in its harshest form, is a miracle. The endless night has returned once more, stretching across the tundra like a velvet shroud. The sun has vanished beyond the horizon, leaving behind a world bathed in shades of deep indigo and soft silver. The air is so cold that it sings when it moves, and each exhale turns into a fleeting cloud of crystal dust. In that frozen stillness Life continues its quiet struggle. The wolves are on the move again. Their breath trails behind them in white ribbons. Their paws press into snow that glows faintly under the moonlight. They travel in silence, bound by instinct and trust. Their formation tight and deliberate. The alpha leads with quiet certainty. Nose lifted to catch the faint scent of the herd ahead. They are not hunting for sport or conquest, but for survival. In this land, survival is not a choice. It is the only truth that matters. The wolves cross frozen rivers and open plains, moving through a world that tests them with every step. They are shadows upon shadows, figures carved from motion and silence. Ahead, a faint rumble trembles through the air, the sound of caribou hooves breaking the crusted snow. The wolves quicken their pace. The hunt begins. It is a dance as old as time itself. The herd surges forward. The wolves spread out, flanking, pressing, anticipating. There is no waste, no frenzy. Every movement has purpose. Every breath is strategy. The tundra becomes a stage where nature's most ancient drama unfolds, and when it ends, when the pack surrounds its fallen prey, there is no celebration, only a quiet, sacred acknowledgement. They feed with reverence. The way priests might handle holy offerings, they take what they need and leave the rest to the scavengers, the fox, the raven, the small lives that follow in the wake of the great hunters. In this way, the Arctic keeps its promise. Nothing here dies in vain. Far from the wolves, on the drifting ice of the northern sea, a polar bear stands at the edge of an open lead. His reflection ripples in the dark water, distorted by the slow pulse of waves beneath the ice. The air is sharp with the scent of salt and snow. Hunger drives him forward, but so does memory. He remembers this place, the same patterns of ice, the same cracks in the floe, the same winds that once carried the scent of prey beneath the ice. A seal swims, unaware of what waits above. The bear crouches low, his breath shallow, his gaze fixed. Time stretches. The Arctic holds its breath with him. And then, in a flash, the surface explodes. The ice shatters. The sea roars. And the hunter claims his prize. The water closes again, and the world returns to stillness. The bear feeds quietly, his body steaming against the frozen air. There is no cruelty in his hunger, only balance. Only the fulfillment of an eternal law. Above, the aurora unfurls across the sky. Green light flowing like liquid fire. It reflects upon the ice, upon the bear's fur, upon the sea. For a moment, everything glows. Even the darkness seems alive. Far below, in the depths of the ocean, the killer whales move through the black water like ghosts. Their calls echo through the deep, a haunting symphony that travels miles through the sea. The matriarch leads, her wisdom guiding the pod through channels of shifting ice. She knows these waters intimately, as though they were extensions of her own body. Around her, the younger whales mirror her movements, learning the old paths, the secret routes that lead to food and safety. They hunt together, moving with intelligence and unity that defies comprehension. When they strike, it is with elegance, coordination, and power. The sea erupts in chaos, then falls silent again. In that silence, the balance remains. Above them, the Arctic fox scurries across the snow, its fur blending perfectly into its surroundings. It moves swiftly, pausing every few steps to listen. Its ears catch the faintest sounds, a lemming shifting beneath the snow, a distant wing beat in the cold air. The fox is small, but in this vast, merciless land, it is as fierce and determined as any predator. It survives not through strength, but through cunning, through patience, through understanding the rhythm of the world around it. It knows when to move, when to wait, when to vanish. It is the quiet intelligence of the Arctic given form. And while the great hunters battle the ice and the cold, the fox slips between them all, unseen but eternal. The world above and below the ice is connected by invisible threads, each creature bound to the others in the same endless circle. The Arctic's silence is not emptiness, it is communication, a dialogue between life and death, between endurance and surrender. Every echo, every movement, every gust of wind is part of that conversation. The raven glides overhead, black wings slicing through the pale sky. It calls once, a sound sharp and hollow, echoing across the emptiness. It has seen everything: the hunts, the deaths, the births, the endless turning of the seasons. The raven is not hunter nor prey, it is witness, and in its flight lies the spirit of the Arctic itself, curious, watchful, unbound. As days pass, the light begins to return. The sun rises low, casting long shadows across the ice. The land awakens slowly. The air shimmers with tiny crystals that catch the light and scatter it into 1,000 rainbows. The wolves rest in the shelter of a frozen ridge, their bellies full, their eyes calm. The bear moves farther north, following the drifting flows. The fox emerges from its den, its fur glowing like fire under the morning light. And high above them all, the aurora fades, making way for the sun's quiet triumph. For a brief moment, the Arctic feels almost gentle, but beauty here is never without danger. The warmth brings storms. The ice cracks and shifts. The sea swells. The same forces that give life also threaten it. A blizzard rises from the horizon, sweeping across the plains like a living wall of white. The wind roars. The snow blinds. The world vanishes into motion. The wolves huddle together, pressing close, sharing warmth. The fox curls in its burrow, waiting for the rage to pass. The bear finds shelter behind a jagged ridge, lowering his head against the gale. The Arctic does not show mercy. It tests every living thing, again and again, until only the strongest remain. But when the storm finally fades, the silence that follows feels holy. The air is clean, the light pure. The snow glitters like 1,000 stars fallen to earth, and through that stillness, the Arctic breathes again. The predators rise. The wolves lift their heads and howl, their voices carrying across the frozen plains. It is not a sound of despair, it is a song of life, of unity, of defiance. Their howls rise to meet the light, weaving with the wind, merging with the rhythm of the earth itself. The aurora answers, faint but luminous, flickering across the edge of the sky. The bear moves forward once more. The fox darts through the snow. The orcas sing beneath the waves. The cycle begins again. The Arctic is not merely surviving, it is enduring. And in that endurance lies a truth greater than any storm or silence. The Arctic does not need to be conquered or understood. It needs only to be respected. It is not a place of death, but of persistence. Not a wasteland, but a world of balance, beauty, and unrelenting will. Every heartbeat here, no matter how fragile, contributes to the same ancient song, the song of life itself. As night falls once more, the horizon glows faintly with the returning aurora. The colors ripple and twist, shimmering like the breath of a sleeping giant. Beneath that light, every creature, hunter and hunted, strong and small, finds its place once again. And as the Arctic slips back into silence, you can almost hear it whisper a single truth to the stars above, that even in the coldest, darkest corners of the world, life burns bright, and it always will. There are places in this world where the earth still speaks in the language of creation, where silence is not emptiness, but presence, where every gust of wind and every flicker of light carries the weight of eternity. The Arctic is one such place, a realm beyond measure, beyond mercy, beyond time. It is both the beginning and the end, a mirror of the world as it was and as it will be. Here, the story of life is written not in ink, but in ice and breath and light. The long night stretches across the tundra once more, deep and unbroken, swallowing the horizon in shades of indigo and silver. The air is so clear that even the stars seem close enough to touch, their reflections shimmering faintly on the frozen sea below. The world feels suspended, as if caught between breaths. Yet within that stillness, life stirs. A wolf's howl pierces the cold. Rising like smoke into the night, it echoes across the plains, through the valleys, across the ridges of ice, until it becomes part of the wind itself. The sound is ancient, almost sacred. It is not just a call, it is a declaration, a reminder that even here, where the world seems empty, something still endures. The pack answers, their voices weaving together in haunting harmony. The Arctic is awake again. In the distance, the caribou herd moves through the snow, a slow river of motion beneath the pale glow of the aurora. The wolves follow silently, their paws barely whispering against the ice. They have done this for thousands of years. The dance between hunter and hunted is as old as the land itself. There is no malice in it, no cruelty, only the pure, relentless logic of survival. The wolves wait for the weak to falter, the young to stray. They move as one, their formation fluid, their purpose absolute. When they strike, it is with precision and grace. A moment of perfect balance between hunger and instinct. The chase is brief. The silence returns. The pack feeds beneath the trembling light of the aurora, their breath rising like mist, their bodies shadows against the snow. Nothing is wasted. The Arctic gives and the Arctic takes, always in equal measure. Far to the north, where the sea meets the frozen sky, the polar bear moves across the drifting ice. His paws leave deep prints that will soon be covered by snow, erasing all trace of his passing. He is a solitary king, his realm vast and unforgiving. Every movement is deliberate, every breath measured. The cold bites at his fur, but he does not feel it. He was born for this, shaped by this. The ice beneath him shifts and groans, a living thing in constant motion. Beneath that ice, life thrives unseen, the dark ocean teeming with fish, the haunting calls of whales echoing through the depths. the steady rhythm of existence continuing in silence. The bear stops, lowering his head to a crack in the ice. He listens. There, just below, a seal rises to breathe. The moment stretches. Then, in one swift motion, the ice shatters. The bear strikes. Water splashes. And the hunt is over. The Arctic does not hesitate. It rewards patience, not haste, strength. Here is quiet, precise, unyielding. When the bear feeds, the world around him seems to hold its breath. Snow drifts softly through the air, and the aurora above bends in slow, graceful waves. The colors ripple across his fur: green, violet, blue, as though the heavens themselves are blessing him. The Arctic is cruel, but it is also magnificent. Its beauty lies in its honesty. It hides nothing, softens nothing. It shows life as it truly is: fragile, fleeting, and yet fiercely determined. Beneath the frozen waves, the orcas move like shadows through the deep. Their songs echo through the black water, low and resonant. A music that only the sea can understand. They travel in formation, led by the matriarch whose memory holds the map of generations. Every twist of current, every hidden passage beneath the ice, she knows by heart. Her calls guide the pod. Her wisdom ensures their survival. They are a family bound not by blood, but by understanding. When they hunt, it is not chaos, but coordination. They encircle their prey, moving with flawless precision. Their strike is swift, their unity absolute. And when it ends, they sing. The song carries for miles, a sound of both sorrow and triumph, as though the sea itself mourns and celebrates at once. Above them, on the cliffs that overlook the endless ocean, the snowy owl waits. Her feathers blend with the frost. Her eyes gleam like molten gold in the darkness. She listens. She feels the pulse of the wind, the tremor of the earth beneath her talons. Then, with a sound softer than thought, she takes flight. The air bends around her wings. She glides over the tundra, silent, weightless, a living embodiment of grace. Below, a small shadow moves. A lemming scurries across the snow. The owl folds her wings, dives, and in a heartbeat, it is over. There is no sound, no struggle, only the continuation of balance. Even the smallest life here plays its part in the great rhythm of the Arctic. Nothing is wasted. Everything matters. And far from the predators, hidden in a hollow beneath the snow, the Arctic fox sleeps. Its fur is thick and white, blending seamlessly with the world above. The storm howls overhead. But inside the den, there is warmth. When the wind finally dies, the fox emerges, its coat shimmering in the pale light. It sniffs the air, catches the faint scent of food, and begins to move. Every step is careful, every motion silent. The fox is small, but it is a master of survival. It thrives not by force, but by wit. It follows in the footsteps of giants, scavenging what the great hunters leave behind. In this frozen kingdom, intelligence is as powerful as strength. The fox moves across the ice, its reflection gliding beside it. It pauses for a moment, looking out toward the horizon where the aurora burns brighter than fire. It tilts its head, as if listening, then continues on, The Arctic whispers to those who pay attention. Its lessons are not shouted, they are felt. Deep and slow, like the heartbeat of the earth. And those who survive here understand that to endure is to listen. The months pass. The sun begins its slow return. The sky shifts from darkness to gold, and the ice glows under its touch. The wolves shed their winter coats. The bear moves toward the sea. The whales migrate south. The fox buries its catch for another season. The cycle continues, as it always has. Unbroken and unending, the Arctic does not remember. It simply renews, but beneath that renewal lies a warning. The ice melts sooner now. The sea rises. The balance, once perfect, trembles. The predators still hunt. But the world around them is changing. The bear swims longer between the floes. The wolves roam farther, searching for the herds that no longer pass. The orcas sing new songs, exploring new waters. The Arctic is not dying, it is evolving. It has seen the rise and fall of countless ages, the shifting of stars, the birth and death of worlds. It will endure. But it will never be the same. And yet, even in this change, there is beauty, for the Arctic teaches us that nothing lasts forever, and nothing truly ends. The ice will melt, but it will freeze again. The sun will vanish, but it will return. Life will falter, but it will rise once more, because the spirit of the Arctic, the will to endure, the quiet strength to persist against all odds, can never be destroyed. When night falls again and the aurora lights the heavens, the Arctic glows with colors beyond comprehension. Green, violet, crimson, gold. Each wave of light dances across the snow like the pulse of the universe itself. Beneath that light, the wolves lift their heads and howl, their voices rising to meet the stars. The bear stands upon the drifting ice, eyes fixed on the horizon. The fox curls beneath a ledge, safe and still. The orcas sing beneath the waves, their echoes stretching through the cold, dark sea. The Arctic is alive, ancient, eternal. It does not ask to be understood. It only asks to be remembered. For this is not just the story of the cold, or of survival, or of silence. It is the story of life itself, raw, untamed, unending. The Arctic is not a place. It is a heartbeat. It is the whisper that lingers long after the storm has passed. It is the quiet promise that even in the darkest night, light will return. And as long as there is breath, as long as there is wind, as long as the ice still sings beneath the stars, the Arctic will endure wild, beautiful, and forever alive. There are moments in the Arctic when time feels like it has stopped moving, when the sky stands still and the earth seems to breathe in slow, ancient rhythm. The horizon is endless, a thin line where the world folds into itself, where the air is so cold and pure it almost hums. This is the land before memory, before sound, before man. Here, silence has weight. Here, life speaks without words. The Arctic is not simply a place. It is a living truth. It is the pulse of endurance that beats at the edge of existence. The long night stretches across the tundra, and beneath the shivering curtain of the aurora, the world glows like something sacred. The colors move like fire suspended in air, drifting across the frozen expanse in slow, liquid waves. Beneath that light, Every shadow, every ripple, every breath carries meaning. The wolves emerge first. Their eyes glint in the distance. Twin flames flickering through the mist. The pack moves silently, their fur glistening with frost. Their paws leaving perfect imprints in the snow. They move not as individuals, but as one being split into many forms. Guided by an instinct older than time, the leader pauses, nose lifted toward the wind. The air is thick with scent, faint traces of the caribou herd traveling far ahead. The wolves begin to move faster, their shapes weaving through the twilight like whispers of smoke. The tundra is their home, their canvas, their trial. They do not know comfort or rest. They know rhythm, unity, and necessity. Each hunt is not conquest, but continuation, the act that binds them to the land and to each other. When they run, it is not with rage, but purpose. Every heartbeat in harmony with the snow beneath their feet. The chase begins, a blur of motion and breath and power. The herd surges forward, their hooves hammering the earth, sending clouds of ice into the air. The wolves split apart, circling, driving, anticipating. For a few eternal moments, predator and prey become one body, moving in a single perfect rhythm, the ancient balance of the wild. And when it ends, when silence returns, the tundra exhales. The wolves feed in the glow of the northern lights, their bodies steaming, their breath rising like smoke into the stars. There is no waste here, no excess, no cruelty, only the law. Life sustains life. Death feeds life. The Arctic remembers everything and forgets nothing. Far from the plains, the polar bear roams the ice, a solitary figure against a world of white and shadow. Each step he takes is deliberate, his weight pressing softly into the frozen crust. The sea beneath the ice groans, restless and alive. The bear's reflection moves beneath his feet, dark and distorted, as though another world mirrors this one below. Hunger gnaws at his stomach. But hunger is not his enemy, it is his teacher. It sharpens him, focuses him, keeps him tethered to the rhythm of the hunt. He pauses, sniffing the air. Somewhere ahead, the faint scent of a seal rises through the cracks in the ice. The bear lowers his massive head, his eyes narrowing. He waits. Minutes pass, then hours. The Arctic rewards those who understand patience. The seal rises at last, breaking the surface in a rush of air. In that instant, the world explodes. The bear strikes with a force that breaks silence itself. And then, just as suddenly, everything is still again. The hunt is complete, the balance restored. As the bear feeds, the aurora ripples above, its light washing across the snow like a blessing. It is as though the heavens themselves have stopped to witness the act, to remind the world that even in the harshest places, life finds its rhythm. Beneath the surface of the sea, the orcas move through the black water, their voices echoing through the deep in songs of haunting beauty. Each call is a signal, a memory, a map of sound that guides them through the shifting maze of ice. The matriarch leads, her wisdom carved from decades of survival. Her song is steady, sure, filled with the confidence of experience. The young follow close, learning the invisible pathways of the ocean, the places where the current slows, where the ice opens, where prey hides. Their movements are a language, a kind of dance between breath and silence, between instinct and inheritance. When they hunt, it is with unity and grace. A living symphony of coordination. The Arctic belongs to no one, and yet every creature belongs to it completely. On the cliffs that rise above the frozen sea, the snowy owl waits. Her feathers glimmer faintly under the moonlight, her eyes wide and golden, reflecting the glow of the aurora. She listens. The wind shifts. A mouse moves beneath the snow, invisible to all but her, her wings spread in perfect silence. And she descends like a shadow. In one smooth motion, she strikes, the world returning to stillness as quickly as it had stirred. She perches again, the snow swirling around her, and the Arctic breathes through her as though she were part of its very soul. Nearby, the Arctic fox slips across the ice. Its fur glows white in the faint light, blending perfectly into the landscape. It moves with the caution of something that has learned to read the moods of the wind. Its ears twitch. Its paws barely whisper against the snow. The fox is the quiet survivor of this land, living on the edges of greater battles, thriving on the remains of giants. It takes only what it needs, nothing more. It does not fight the Arctic, it becomes it. This is the secret of endurance. To live here is not to conquer, but to adapt, not to resist the cold, but to learn to move with it. The Arctic does not reward strength alone. It rewards balance, precision, patience. It punishes arrogance, but honors respect. Every creature that lives here understands this law, and those that forget it are swallowed by the snow. The months pass, and the light begins to return. The horizon glows faintly, the sun rising like a ghost through the mist. The long night fades, giving way to the fragile dawn. The snow glitters like diamonds under the first warmth, and the land seems to awaken with it. The fox sheds its coat. The wolves raise their heads to the light. The bear turns his face to the horizon, eyes half closed against the glare. For a brief time, the Arctic softens. Rivers thaw. Flowers bloom in colors so vivid they seem impossible against the white. Birds return from the south, their cries slicing through the air. Life surges forward in a fever of activity, each creature racing against time to prepare for the inevitable return of the cold. The Arctic is not a place of death, but of cycles. It does not end. It turns, again and again and again. And as the wheel turns, so too does the memory of those who came before, the ancestors of the wolves, the bears, the whales, all still present, their essence lingering in the rhythm of the land. The Arctic holds their echoes, their spirit, their lessons. Even the wind carries their stories. The humans who once walked this ice understood that. They carved their legends into stone, into bone, into memory. They knew that the Arctic was not theirs to possess, but to respect. To live here was to listen. To survive here was to understand that all life, no matter how vast or small, is bound by the same truth. Everything is connected, and so the Arctic endures, not because it is unchanging, but because it is eternal in its change. The ice melts, the seasons shift, the patterns evolve, but the spirit remains. The light fades once more, the long night returns, the aurora dances above, painting the world in colors that seem to breathe. The wolves lift their heads and howl into the wind. The bear walks the ice, his reflection rippling in the Black Sea. The fox burrows into the snow, curling into warmth. Beneath the surface, the orcas sing. The Arctic is alive. It always has been. It always will be. To witness it is to glimpse the heart of creation itself. Raw and unfiltered. Fierce and beautiful. The Arctic teaches without words. It reminds us that strength is not domination but endurance. That beauty is not comfort but truth. That silence can be the loudest song of all. And as the aurora burns across the sky one final time, the Arctic whispers the lesson it has taught for millennia, that life, in all its forms, is fragile, but its spirit is infinite. The ice will break. The light will fade. The seasons will turn, but life will remain. Always, in the breath of the wind, in the cry of the wolves, in the stillness of the snow, in the endless, quiet heart of the Arctic, there are places in this world where nature feels eternal, where the earth breathes in silence and the sky stretches beyond imagination. And the Arctic is one of them. This is not merely a landscape, but a living memory, a realm where ice and wind have shaped not only the world, but the very idea of survival itself. Here, light is not just illumination, it is language. And darkness is not absence, it is presence. In this place of extremes, life endures on the edge of impossibility, sculpted by patience, sharpened by cold, and carried forward by an unbreakable will. The night lies heavy upon the tundra, an ocean of shadow, broken only by the shimmering dance of the aurora. The air itself seems alive, vibrating faintly with color. Light flowing like a river across the heavens. Beneath it, the snow glows faintly green, as if it remembers the touch of the stars. This light has no warmth, yet it feels alive, whispering stories older than time. And within this glow, the world stirs. The wolves move first, their silhouettes cut through the mist, eyes gleaming with the reflection of the sky above. Their breath rises in clouds that twist and vanish into the night. They travel together, a family bound by blood and trust, following trails carved by instinct. The tundra beneath their paws is silent, but the rhythm of their movement fills the air. They do not speak, but they understand. The leader lifts his head, nose twitching, reading the scent of life carried on the wind. Far ahead, faint and distant, lies a herd of musk oxen, massive shapes half buried in snow. Their breath rising like smoke, the wolves advance. The night is their ally, the cold their cloak. Each step brings them closer to the ancient ritual that has defined this land for centuries. The chase begins not with fury, but with harmony. The wolves move like a single being, each responding to the other's motion. Each breath a part of a greater rhythm. The oxen sense the danger, the ground trembling beneath their hooves as they form a circle, horns facing outward. The young hidden in the center. The wolves encircle them, eyes fixed, patient and unrelenting. The standoff stretches across time itself, predator and prey locked in the eternal balance that sustains the Arctic. And when it breaks like lightning. The snow erupts into chaos. The wind howls, and the world contracts into the struggle for life. Yet, even here, in this fierce and fleeting violence, there is no malice, only the law of existence, the order of endurance. When it ends, silence returns, soft and profound. The wolves eat what they must, and the rest becomes the gift of life to others, the foxes, the ravens, the hidden creatures beneath the snow. Nothing here is wasted. Nothing here is forgotten. The Arctic remembers every act, every breath, every struggle. It carries them all in its endless heartbeat, far to the north, where the sea meets the ice. The polar bear moves through a world without borders. The ice shifts beneath his paws. Creaking and groaning like an ancient beast, he stops, listens, and then continues. The cold does not touch him. The distance does not matter. His purpose is carved into his bones. Beneath the surface, the sea glows faintly with reflected light. And within it, shadows move the life of the deep, silent and hidden. The bear's eyes catch movement through the cracks, a seal rising to breathe. He lowers himself, pressing against the ice. Still as stone, the minutes stretch. Time here has no meaning. And then, in a single breath, the moment arrives. The bear strikes. The sea explodes upward in a flash of spray and sound. The ice fractures. The water churns. And life changes hands once more. The Arctic gives and takes with the same quiet grace. Above, the aurora burns brighter, rippling across the frozen horizon like the pulse of the world itself. The wind carries the scent of salt and life and memory. Everything here exists in perfect proportion. Even death feels sacred, far below. The killer whales move in the black depths, their voices echoing through the sea like ancient hymns. They speak in tones that travel for miles. Songs that map the world in sound. The matriarch leads, her presence calm and commanding. Around her, the pod moves as one, guided by sound, by intuition, by the inherited memory of the sea. Their world is made of darkness and vibration. A world unseen, yet perfectly known. They hunt not with frenzy, but with unity. Their movements, a kind of underwater choreography. When they breach, the surface explodes with light and motion. And for an instant, they seem to fly. The Arctic sky reflects upon their backs, and the sea becomes a mirror between two worlds, the frozen and the fluid, the silent and the singing. On land, the Arctic fox scurries across the snow, its paws barely leaving prints. It follows the trails left by greater hunters, scavenging what remains. A small but vital piece of the Arctic's grand design. Its fur shimmers blue under the aurora, blending seamlessly with the night. Its movements are quick, deliberate, precise. Every motion is economy. Every decision is survival. The fox is the quiet genius of this world, the embodiment of adaptability. When food is scarce, it listens for movement beneath the snow, waiting for the faint rustle of prey. Its patience is infinite. When it strikes, it does so without hesitation, without waste. The Arctic rewards those who understand its rhythm. Above them all, the snowy owl glides through the night, her wings outstretched, her body moving like a thought carried by the wind. Her eyes catch the faintest glint of motion below, her senses perfectly tuned. She descends in absolute silence, the air bending around her as she dives. The strike is swift, almost invisible. One heartbeat, one moment, one continuation of the cycle. She rises again, her wings scattering snow like falling stars, and for a moment, She becomes part of the aurora itself, a shape of light moving through light. The Arctic breathes through her. The dawn arrives slowly. Bleeding across the horizon in shades of pale gold and ice blue. The world brightens. The shadows retreat. The tundra glitters. Every flake of snow catching fire under the first touch of the sun. The wolves rest. The fox curls into its den. The bear sleeps on the ice. The sea gently rocking beneath him, the whales move toward the edge of the world, where the sun meets the horizon. For a moment, there is peace, but the Arctic is never still for long. The wind begins to rise, carrying with it the promise of change. The ice shifts. The rivers of frozen water begin to move. The balance trembles. Not with weakness, but with transformation. The world is always remade here, slowly, deliberately, endlessly. Even now, the ice melts faster than before. The seas warm, the patterns of migration shift, the Arctic changes, yet endures. Its spirit is not bound by form, but by will. Every creature here, from the mightiest predator to the smallest scavenger, adapts. They learn, they move, they continue, because that is the Arctic's greatest truth. To endure is to evolve. And still, the aurora burns above them all, tireless and magnificent. Its light flowing across the sky like a promise. It tells a story older than man, older than the stars themselves, a story of survival, of resilience, of beauty born from struggle. The Arctic does not cry out. It whispers, it teaches in silence. It reminds us that life is not about conquering, but about coexisting. Not about resisting the storm, but about learning to move within it. The wind slows. The light softens. The world exhales once more. The Arctic stands eternal, not untouched, but unbroken. In the end, this frozen kingdom is not just a place on the map. It is a reflection of everything that has ever fought to live. It is the memory of the planet itself, the living heart of endurance. When night returns and the aurora rises again, painting the sky in green and violet flame, the Arctic breathes. The predators stir, and the circle begins anew. The wolves lift their voices to the heavens. The bear roams the shifting ice. The whales sing beneath the sea. The fox runs through the snow, chasing the echo of the wind. And above it all, the lights dance, a reminder that even in the coldest darkness, there is always something burning, something eternal, something alive. The Arctic breathes again. The night is endless, yet alive. A vast ocean of shadow and light, where the stars burn brighter than fire and the aurora dances like a living spirit. It is the heartbeat of the planet, slow and steady, ancient and unbroken. Every gust of wind carries the memory of creation. Every drift of snow holds the weight of time itself. This is the final frontier of life, where existence has learned not to fight against the cold, but to become one with it. Here, life does not shout, it whispers, it endures, it becomes eternal. The horizon glows faintly beneath the shimmer of the northern lights. A soft, ghostly fire spreading across the sky. Beneath that light, the world is awake. The wolves move once more, their paws sinking into the snow, their breath rising in clouds that catch the glow of the aurora. They travel without fear, guided by instinct, by the rhythm of the land. The alpha leads, eyes sharp, ears tuned to every whisper of the wind. Around him, the pack flows like a single heartbeat. Bound by loyalty older than civilization, their song rises low, haunting, beautiful, filling the frozen air with the voice of the wild. The sound rolls across the plains, echoing off distant ridges, fading into forever. It is not a cry of hunger. It is a declaration of existence. Far away, a lone polar bear roams the ice, his massive form illuminated by the ghostly light. Each breath he exhales is a wisp of steam, rising like a prayer to the sky. The ice creaks beneath his weight. A slow, steady groan from the ancient sea. He pauses, sniffing the air. Beneath the frozen surface, life stirs a seal, breathing in rhythm with the tide. The bear waits. The Arctic teaches patience. Minutes stretch into hours, hours into silence. Then, with a single strike, the calm shatters. The hunt is swift. The water ripples. The air trembles. And balance is restored. The bear feeds, his body steaming in the cold. There is no triumph, no cruelty, only necessity. The Arctic is not about dominance. It is about respect. The bear knows this. The wolves know this. The sea knows this. Even the wind seems to know. Beneath the ice, the whales move through the dark, their songs echoing through miles of water, deep and resonant. Their voices rise like cathedral bells in the sea, connecting the living to the unseen. The matriarch leads her pod through a world without light, navigating by sound, by memory, by wisdom older than any map. Her call reaches the surface, vibrating through the frozen ocean. A sound of both sorrow and grace. Above, the aurora bends with the music, the sky itself swaying to the rhythm of life. On the cliffs, the snowy owl perches, feathers dusted with frost, eyes glowing with the light of the heavens. She watches the tundra, still and aware, her gaze sharp as ice. When she moves, it is silent, her wings cutting through the night like thought itself. She hunts, not from hunger alone, but because the world demands balance. Every act here has meaning. Every heartbeat serves a purpose. There is no waste. There is only order, far below. The Arctic fox darts between rocks, a flicker of white against the snow. It follows the path of giants, scavenging the remnants of their hunts, surviving on what others leave behind. Yet in its smallness, there is brilliance, its intelligence, its agility, its patience. All are forms of strength. The Arctic rewards the clever, the adaptable, the ones who listen. And so, the fox thrives. A whisper of life in a world of giants. The wind shifts, the aurora brightens, flowing faster now. Alive and restless, the light ripples over the sea, over the ice, over the fur and feathers of every creature that breathes beneath it. For a moment, everything is connected. The bear on the ice, the wolves in the snow, the whales in the deep, the fox beneath the cliffs, the owl above the plains. They are all part of the same eternal rhythm, the same sacred law that governs all things. The Arctic does not belong to them. They belong to it, and in that belonging, they find peace. As the months pass, the sun begins its slow return, The first rays of light spill across the horizon, pale and delicate, turning the ice into a sea of diamonds. The long night ends. But not completely. Here, darkness never leaves. It lingers, soft and eternal, blending with the light to create something new, an in-between world where everything glows. And nothing is forgotten. The wolves raise their heads to the dawn. The fox stretches in its burrow. The bear squints at the horizon, the sun painting his fur in gold. The whales sing louder, their voices rising to greet the light. The Arctic is reborn again. But even in its rebirth, there is warning. The ice melts sooner now. The seas warm. The ancient rhythm falters. The balance trembles. The bear must swim farther. The wolves travel longer. The fox finds less to scavenge. The whales search new waters. Change comes slowly here. But it comes, and the Arctic, eternal as it seems, feels it. Yet even as the ice retreats, life adapts. It always has. It always will. The Arctic is not fragile. It is resilient. It bends, but it does not break. It remembers. It learns. It endures. For the Arctic has seen ages come and go, glaciers advance and fade, creatures rise and vanish, empires bloom and die. Through it all, it has remained, whispering its lessons to those who listen. And what it whispers is simple. Survival is not defiance. It is harmony. To live is to yield. And to yield is to remain. The aurora shifts once more, burning brighter, painting the world in waves of emerald and fire. The wolves howl, the sea sighs, the wind carries their voices across the ice, blending them into one vast, unending song. It is the sound of the Arctic itself, the voice of time, of endurance, of beauty born from hardship. It reaches beyond the snow, beyond the stars, beyond memory. It is a reminder that life, no matter how small, is infinite when it endures. The storm returns. The snow falls heavy and soft, covering the tracks of every creature. The land grows quiet. The world wrapped again in silence. Yet beneath that silence, hearts still beat. Beneath the ice, the whales still sing. Beneath the snow, the fox still dreams. Beneath the sky, the wolves still move. The Arctic lives. It always has. It always will. And when the aurora fades and the stars dim and the wind dies to a whisper, the Arctic remains, not as a place, but as a promise that even in the darkest, coldest corners of existence, life will always find a way to shine. For the Arctic is not only the end of the world, it is its beginning. It is the breath before dawn, the silence before song, the stillness before creation. And as long as the earth turns, and the sky burns, and the ice breathes, the Arctic will endure untamed, unbroken, eternal. When the ice begins to break, the world exhales. The frozen silence that ruled for months melts into sound, into movement, into life. Rivers of thaw spill across the tundra, whispering through canyons carved by centuries of wind. The Arctic, once bound in stillness, now breathes like a living thing. Its white skin cracks open, revealing veins of blue and silver. From beneath the ice, the sea awakens. The whales rise first. their massive bodies slicing through the dark water like ghosts of the deep. They breach with thunder, their breath exploding into mist that catches the light of the low sun. Around them, fragments of ice drift like shattered glass, glowing gold beneath the horizon. For a moment, it feels as if the Earth itself is waking from a dream. The Arctic is no longer just a place of endurance, it is a beginning. The whales sing, their voices roll through the ocean, deep and resonant, weaving through the current like memory. Each note carries a story. Each vibration, a map of time and distance. Their songs connect the cold north to the warm south, the deep to the surface, the past to the present. They are the historians of the sea, keeping the record of change in the language of sound. As they travel, they follow the same ancient routes their ancestors once traced. Paths written not on maps, but in instinct. They move toward the edge of the ice, where light begins to shimmer through the melt. Here, the Arctic meets the world. The water warms, the current quickens, and the whales continue south. Their journey guided by an invisible compass older than memory itself. Above the sea, the sky begins to shift. The aurora fades, replaced by the long glow of an awakening sun. The air hums with energy. The Arctic fox sheds its winter coat, revealing the soft brown fur of summer. The wolves retreat deeper into the forest, their howls softer now, more distant. The polar bear watches from the receding ice, eyes fixed on the open water. He knows the world is changing. The land that once stretched endlessly beneath his feet now drifts apart, breaking into islands of ice. Yet he does not fear. He adapts. He swims, his paws cut through the water with power and grace. His reflection, a ghostly blur beneath the waves. The Arctic has always demanded strength, but now it asks for something more: resilience. In the heart of the thaw, new life blooms. The tundra turns from white to green. Moss and lichen awaken from their frozen sleep. Tiny flowers, fragile yet defiant, push through the softening earth, painting the land with color. They grow in silence, their beauty unseen by most, yet essential to all. They feed the insects, which feed the birds, which feed the world. In this brief season, the Arctic becomes a garden short-lived, delicate, perfect. The migratory birds return, filling the sky with wings and song. Geese, swans, terns, and countless others wheel overhead, their cries echoing like the chorus of creation. They come from every corner of the earth, drawn north by the promise of life renewed. Their wings beat in rhythm with the sea, their shadows flickering across the endless light. For a few fleeting months, the Arctic is alive in every sense, vibrant, noisy, overflowing. The sun circles the horizon without ever setting, casting a golden glow that never fades. It is a season of abundance, of feverish motion, of hope. But even as the light grows stronger, the cycle of change continues. Beneath the surface, the ocean warms, the ice thins, the balance shifts. The Arctic does not resist, it transforms. Life follows. The fish move with the current, schools shimmering like liquid silver. Seals dive through the cracks, their bodies sleek and quick, their eyes wide with light. Above them, seabirds plunge from the air, breaking the surface in perfect arcs. their wings glinting with spray. Every creature plays its part. Every heartbeat contributes to the same rhythm. It is the great migration of the North. The slow, eternal turning of the world as the whales journey south. Their songs change, the tones deepen, the patterns evolve. Their voices carry news of melting ice, of shifting tides, of new routes carved through the open sea. They sing not only for themselves, but for the generations that will follow. Beneath the waves, calves swim beside their mothers, learning the music of survival. Their songs blend with the pulse of the ocean, forming a symphony of continuity. Each note says, "We remember." Each echo says, "We endure," far above. The Arctic wind carries fragments of this song across the world. It drifts over mountains, across forests, through deserts and plains. It whispers through the cracks of human cities, through glass and steel, through forgotten corners of the night. The song of the Arctic does not end at its borders. It becomes part of everything. Because the Arctic is not separate from the Earth, it is the Earth. It is the pulse that drives the climate, the mirror that reflects the balance of life. When it breathes, the planet breathes with it. When it falters, the world feels the tremor. The ice is memory, and that memory is melting. Yet, even now, as the world changes faster than ever before, the Arctic remains defiant in its beauty. The fox still hunts beneath the moon. The owl still flies in silence. The whales still sing. The bear still walks the ice. Each of them is a fragment of eternity. A reminder that nature will not simply vanish, it will transform. As it always has, the Arctic is not ending. It is becoming something new. The sun climbs higher. The ice cracks and falls into the sea with a sound like thunder. The water swirls, reflecting the light in 1,000 shades of blue. Somewhere deep within that vastness, a new rhythm begins. The whales turn toward the south. The fox curls in its den. The wolves fade into the forest. The bear lowers his head, resting on the drifting ice. The aurora glows one last time, faint but pure. Before the full sun returns, the Arctic sleeps again, but its dream continues, carried by the waves, by the wind, by every living thing that has ever drawn breath beneath its sky. Beyond the ice, life moves forward. The ocean stretches endlessly, alive with motion and light. The whales vanish into the deep, their songs fading but never dying. Their voices become part of the current, part of the rhythm that moves the tides. And in that rhythm lies a promise. That life will endure, that memory will last, that beauty will return. The Arctic has taught the world many things: how to endure, how to adapt, how to remain silent and listen. But its greatest lesson is this: even when the world seems frozen, even when everything is covered in shadow, there is movement beneath the surface. There is life. There is hope. The ice will melt. The sun will rise. The wind will shift. And the song will begin again, somewhere far away, in the heart of the sea. A whale sings. The sound travels through miles of water, through silence, through time. It rises, faint but steady, like a heartbeat. The Arctic answers not with words, but with light. The aurora flickers once more, as if nodding in acknowledgement. The cycle continues. The earth breathes, and life, fragile and fierce, goes on. Beneath the last shards of Arctic ice, where the light bends and shatters into 1,000 fragments. The ocean opens its mouth, the surface ripples once, and then the world below swallows the sun. Here begins the descent into the dark heart of the planet, where silence reigns, where time dissolves, where the pulse of life slows but never stops. The water thickens, the colors fade, the blue turns to indigo, then to black. Above, the surface becomes a memory, a distant shimmer fading like breath on glass. Down here, light is not a comfort but a ghost. The deeper you go, the more the world forgets what warmth feels like. Yet, even in this infinite night, life thrives. The first to greet you are the drifters, the plankton, tiny as dust, floating in invisible currents. They move without purpose, yet they are the foundation of everything. Each flicker of light, each translucent pulse, is the beginning of a story that stretches across all of Earth. They are the builders of breath, the unseen architects of survival. Without them, there would be no whales, no fish, no us. They are the silent creators of life in the dark. The descent continues. Pressure builds. The weight of the sea presses against bone and memory. The temperature drops. The sound changes. The heart slows. In this silence, sound travels differently. It bends. It echoes. It lingers, somewhere in the black. A song rises low, trembling call that rolls through the water like thunder made of sorrow. It is the voice of the whale, still traveling, still remembering. It calls into the abyss, and the abyss answers. The sound is ancient, powerful, endless. It moves through you, through the water, through time itself. This is how life speaks in the deep, through echoes, through vibration, through silence broken just long enough to remind the world it still breathes. As the light fades completely, another world appears. The deep ocean is not empty. It is a cathedral carved in darkness. The walls shimmer faintly with living light, tiny organisms, glowing blue and green, suspended like stars. This is the twilight zone, where the boundary between life and shadow is thin. Here, every creature glows. Every movement is a spark. The anglerfish drifts slowly through the gloom, her lure swaying before her like a flame in a cave. Around her, invisibly, eyes flicker, curious, waiting. The light is not beauty, it is survival. It is a trap, a whisper in the dark that says, "Come closer, just a little closer." And when they do, the deep takes them, as it always has. Farther down, stranger shapes emerge. Jellyfish as wide as houses, their tendrils trailing like smoke. Squid with eyes larger than the human head, glowing faintly as they glide through blackness. Shrimp that flash like lightning. Creatures that flicker for an instant and vanish. The deep is not silent, it hums. It crackles. It breathes. Every pulse of bioluminescence is a heartbeat. Every shimmer is a message. The darkness is alive. Descend deeper, and the world changes again. The temperature steadies. The current still. The pressure is crushing. But here, life has adapted to it. The creatures of the abyss are slow, deliberate, eternal. The snailfish drifts between rocks of volcanic black. The giant isopod crawls over the sand, its armor gleaming faintly. Worms twist around vents that spew heat from the core of the earth. The water glows faintly orange in their light, like fire under glass. This is the only warmth in a kingdom of cold, a furnace hidden beneath miles of water. The hydrothermal vents roar quietly, releasing life where none should exist. From their mouths pour clouds of mineral-rich heat, and within them, life blooms in impossible abundance. Tube worms as tall as men sway in the current, their bodies blood-red and pale. Crabs crawl among them. Blind but fearless, microbes feed on metal and gas, creating entire ecosystems from nothing. It is life born not from sunlight, but from the memory of the Earth's fire. Down here, life does not need the sky. It writes its own laws. It thrives in the impossible. And so the deep ocean becomes a mirror of the Arctic above a world of extremes, of silence and endurance, of creatures that live not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. The pressure here could crush steel. Yet the bodies of these beings bend and flex, as if made of memory instead of matter. They have become part of the sea, part of its rhythm. They are the embodiment of the same truth that defines all existence. To endure is to adapt. And in adaptation, there is beauty. You drift deeper still. The last trace of the surface has vanished completely. There is no up, no down, no direction, only the slow heartbeat of the planet and the hum of distant energy. The light of the vents flickers and fades. Beyond this point lies the abyssal plain, the largest habitat on Earth, and the least known. A landscape of endless darkness and unimaginable depth. The floor of the ocean stretches out like a desert, covered in fine dust that once was mountains, bones, and time. Here lie the remains of everything that ever fell, the reign of the dead. They call it the slow, eternal drift of particles from above. Tiny fragments of life that once swam in the sunlit sea now fall here, piece by piece, feeding the creatures of the dark. Crabs sift through the silt. Brittle stars move like veins over the sand. Sea cucumbers glide like ghosts. Nothing is wasted. Even in death, the cycle continues. Far ahead, a faint glow shimmers through the black, a single light. Small but steady, you move closer. It is a jellyfish, drifting alone, its bell pulsing like the beat of a heart. Each pulse releases a soft blue glow that fades and returns. It is the only light for miles. Yet in that small glow, there is something profound. It is the proof that even here, in the most desolate place on Earth, life refuses to fade. It burns quietly, beautifully, endlessly. The current changes. The sound deepens. The earth groans. Faint but clear, a low vibration that travels through the bones of the ocean. It is the voice of the planet itself. The movement of tectonic plates, the breath of the core. The sea listens. Everything listens. For a moment, it feels as if the entire world is holding its breath. Then, slowly, the current rises again. The glow of the jellyfish fades into the distance, and the dark closes in. But you are not afraid, because here, in the deep, fear does not exist. There is only awe, the same awe that lives in the eyes of the whale, in the silence of the fox, in the song of the wind over the Arctic ice. It is the awe of existence itself. The descent is complete. You have reached the heart of the ocean, the quietest place on Earth. Here, sound becomes thought. Light becomes memory. Time becomes meaningless. It is the end of the world and its beginning. The same forces that shaped the ice above shape this place below, the same patience, the same rhythm, the same eternal will. The Arctic and the abyss are reflections of each other. Two halves of the same soul, one carved from ice, the other from darkness, both born from silence, both alive. Slowly, the current begins to pull you upward again. The water warms. Faint light filters down, and the sound of distant life returns. You rise through layers of memory past the vents, past the glowing creatures, past the echoes of whales. The surface draws near. The world brightens. The deep releases you. Gently, as though the ocean itself were exhaling. When you break the surface, the sun is there, soft, golden, endless. The air rushes back into your lungs. The waves shimmer with the reflection of the sky. Behind you, the ocean stretches into eternity, calm and endless. Beneath it, the darkness still breathes, still watches, still dreams. You realize then that the deep is not below you. It is within you. Every beat of your heart, every breath you take, carries its rhythm. You have touched the silence, and it has changed you. You have seen the unseen, and it has remembered you. The Arctic may be the crown of the earth, but the deep is its soul. Together, they form the balance of life, the silence and the song, the cold and the dark, the memory and the mystery. And as the light glitters across the endless sea, you understand what the Arctic and the abyss have been trying to tell you all along, that life, no matter how far it falls, will always rise again. The ocean sighs. The wind carries the sound across the waves. Somewhere far below, a whale begins to sing once more. The song rises, rolling through the water, reaching toward the sky. It is the same song that began in the ice, that traveled through the dark, that never ended. It is the song of life itself, quiet, vast, eternal. The ocean keeps its secrets well. Beneath the surface, beneath the silence, beneath the weight of centuries, there are cities that no one remembers. They lie beyond the reach of light, half buried in silt and coral, their towers broken, their walls draped in the slow growth of time. The sea has claimed them, erased their names, and turned their ruins into gardens. Yet, even in ruin, they breathe. The descent begins once more, the water darkening with every meter. The sun fades. The sound of the world above disappears. What replaces it is older, deeper, a low vibration that feels more like memory than sound. The current carries you forward, guiding you through a corridor of rock and lightless blue. And then, through the haze, something appears. Shapes, angles, structures where no natural pattern should exist. At first, it looks like shadow. Then it becomes stone. Pillars rise from the ocean floor, carved and worn, their surfaces covered with coral that glows faintly in the gloom. Between them lie archways, collapsed bridges, fragments of roads that lead nowhere. The sea has turned this place into a cathedral of ghosts. As you drift closer, the details emerge: murals half-eaten by algae, statues staring with hollow eyes, inscriptions long faded into nonsense. The city is silent, but it hums with energy, as if the stone itself remembers the heartbeat of the world above. Fish move through broken windows. Eels curl inside doorways. Crabs climb over fallen columns. The sea has filled every empty space with new life. The city that once belonged to man now belongs to the ocean. It is called many names in myth Atlantis. Ton is Herakleion, Pavlopetri, but names mean little to the sea, to the ocean. They are all the same. Cities built with pride, cities swallowed by time. The water thickens with the scent of iron and salt. You pass what was once a temple. Its roof collapsed. Its floor littered with statues, half buried in sand. Columns lean like weary giants, rays of light, thin and trembling, pierce the water and touch the stone, revealing carvings of men and gods. Their faces are calm, but their eyes are hollow. The sea does not destroy with violence. It erases with grace. It takes slowly, gently, until all that remains is beauty. The deeper you go, the grander the silence becomes. Streets stretch before you, lined with doorways leading into darkness. The outlines of buildings shimmer faintly in the filtered light. Their shapes twist as the current moves, as if the city itself is breathing beneath the waves. You can almost feel the weight of what once was the footsteps, the laughter, the sound of markets and bells. It lingers, faint as a heartbeat, memory made of salt and shadow. And then you see it, the heart of the city, a great dome, half collapsed, its surface covered in coral and light. Around it, statues of forgotten kings and queens stand guard, their faces blurred by centuries of water. The sea anemones sway at their feet like offerings, and schools of fish spiral around them in silent worship. It is a vision both beautiful and devastating, a civilization that reached for the sky, now sleeping in the arms of the deep. You swim closer. The current pushes gently against you, as if testing your resolve. Inside the dome, the light grows stranger. Faint bioluminescent creatures drift through the still air of the water, their glow reflecting off mosaics on the walls. The tiles are colored glass and stone, arranged in patterns that seem almost alive. They tell stories: rivers, mountains, stars, and men building towers. The images shimmer, warped by time and motion. You reach out to touch them, and for a moment, it feels as if the wall itself is warm, as if the city remembers. And then the current shifts. The warmth fades. The silence deepens. A shadow passes above you, slow, vast, unscient. You look up. The outline of a whale glides overhead, enormous and serene. Its movement is like the turning of a planet, graceful and inevitable. It moves through the ruins without hesitation, as if it too knows this place, as if it has swum these streets 1,000 times. Its song begins a low, trembling tone that fills the dome, vibrating through the stone. The sound moves through your chest, through your bones. It feels like the earth itself is speaking. The song rises, echoes, fades. The whale moves on. The city is silent once more. You drift upward, past fallen towers and arches. The coral grows thicker here, brighter, wrapping around the ruins like veins of light. The ocean has not destroyed this city, it has transformed it. The stone breathes. The walls glow. The currents sing. The sea has turned the end of one world into the beginning of another. Still, questions remain. Who built these places? What dreams brought them here? To the edge of the impossible? Did they fall because of pride? Or nature? Or time itself? The ocean does not answer. It never has. Its silence is not ignorance, it is wisdom too vast for words. The ruins stretch for miles, each structure more eroded than the last. A toppled tower lies half buried in the sand, its tip pointing upward like a finger accusing the sky. Broken amphorae scatter the seafloor, their shapes softened by centuries of current. A statue lies on its side, face turned upward, eyes closed. The seaweed wraps around it gently, almost tenderly. Time has made this place sacred. In the distance, and lights flicker, not the glow of fish or coral, but something else, something metallic, rhythmic, deliberate. You swim closer, the lights pulse in patterns, blinking through the haze. Machines, relics of a newer age. A submarine wreck lies ahead, rusted and broken, its nameplate unreadable. The sea has begun to collect the ruins of our age too. Steel instead of stone, glass instead of marble, yet the story is the same. The sea gives, the sea takes, the sea remembers. Inside the wreck, life blooms, coral wraps around the hull. Jellyfish drift through the cabin. Small fish dart between control panels covered in barnacles. The ocean turns everything into a reef. In time, even this machine will become part of the city of the forgotten. You hover there, surrounded by the quiet hum of life, reclaiming death. The water feels thicker now, older, as if it carries the weight of every memory the world has ever lost. You realize that the sea is not a graveyard. It is a library. Every shell, every ruin, every fossil is a page, every current a sentence, every sound a story. Humanity's rise and fall, recorded not in stone or ink, but in sediment and silence. The deep holds more history than all the world's museums combined. Yet no one can read it. No one can turn its pages. It exists only for those who listen. The current shifts again. The ruins fade into darkness. The seabed falls away into a trench that seems to have no end. The water grows colder, heavier, darker. You drift at the edge, staring into the abyss below. For a moment, it feels as though the trench is breathing, drawing you toward it. You hear faint echoes rising from within, tones too low to be sound, too old to be language. The deep is speaking again. You cannot understand the words, but you feel them. They are not a warning. They are a truth. All that rises must fall. All that is built must sink. All that lives must return to silence. The ocean has no malice. It simply continues. You turn back toward the ruins. The lights of the coral flicker one last time. The statues stare into the distance, patient and eternal. Above them, the whale's song fades into silence. The water stills. For a moment, everything feels suspended, past, present. Life, death, all existing at once. The city sleeps, the ocean breathes, and the world moves on. As you rise back toward the light, the darkness recedes slowly. The colors return, the pressure eases, the sound of the sea grows softer. The ruins disappear beneath you, swallowed again by shadow and distance. But you know they are still there, waiting. The forgotten cities of the sea will remain long after we are gone, growing new coral, feeding new life, whispering old names that no one will remember, because the ocean is not just a place, it is time itself. And time remembers everything. When you finally break the surface, the sun is low, burning gold across the waves. The air smells of salt and memory. The wind touches your face like a sigh. You look back at the sea, endless and calm, and realize the truth. The deep has shown you that nothing truly disappears. It only changes. It only sinks deeper, waiting to be found again. The ocean keeps its secrets well, but if you listen long enough, you can almost hear it whisper, beneath the waves, the past is still alive. There are depths deeper than the sea. Places not carved by water, but by time itself. They do not exist in the maps of men, nor in the memories of creatures. They lie beyond the reach of light, beyond the rhythm of tides, beyond even the silence of the ocean. This is the abyss of time, the space where the earth remembers everything. When the last echo of the wail fades, when the ruins of forgotten cities vanish behind the veil of darkness, you keep descending. The sea gives way to something heavier, older, infinite. The water grows still, too still, as if even the ocean itself hesitates to go further. Pressure builds, not on your body, but on your mind. The sound changes. It becomes low, resonant, like the pulse of a living planet. It is not the sound of the sea anymore. It is the heartbeat of time. The light above disappears completely. You are surrounded by nothing. No shape. No direction. No color. Only a vast presence that feels alive. The darkness here is not absence. It is fullness. It is made of everything that ever was and everything that will be. In this darkness, time does not flow. It folds. Seconds stretch into centuries. Centuries collapse into a single breath. You are no longer moving through space. You are moving through memory. The ocean becomes a mirror, showing not reflections of the world above, but visions of its beginning. The sound deepens again. You hear a low rumble, distant yet near, like the echo of creation itself. The water trembles. The darkness flickers, and for a heartbeat, you see it, the birth of the planet, fire beneath ice, light bursting through chaos. The earth, not as a sphere, but as an idea, it is alive, growing, breathing. Volcanoes spew clouds into ancient skies. Oceans boil and cool, rising and falling like lungs. The first rains fall. The first rivers form. The first breath of wind moves across the first sea. The darkness shifts, and you fall deeper still. The light returns, not from above, but from within. It comes from the rocks, from the minerals, from the very atoms that built this world. It glows faintly, gold and blue, pulsing in rhythm with the planet's slow heartbeat. Shapes begin to form spirals, fractals, shimmering patterns that twist like living thought. They are not physical. They are memory. They are the code of life itself. You watch as single cells emerge from the void. Drifting in the ancient sea, they shimmer with energy, dividing, merging, learning. They become the architects of everything to come. In this place, time is transparent. You see the chain of existence stretch across millions of years, the slow rise of life from the ocean floor, the silent march of evolution. Jellyfish bloom beneath crimson skies. Creatures crawl from the sea to land. Forests rise and fall. Mountains move like waves. You see it all at once, the birth, to the extinction, the rebirth. The earth is not linear here. It dreams in circles. You begin to understand that this abyss is not a place of death, but of remembering. Every sound, every echo, every fragment of existence has been recorded here. Layer upon layer, like rings in a tree that has no end. The deep hum becomes a song, faint but clear. It is the same rhythm that flows through everything, the heartbeat of the Arctic wind, the song of the whale, the whisper of coral, the breath of the fox. It is the rhythm of life itself. The darkness around you begins to move. Shapes emerge not of creatures, but of moments. You see the shadow of a bird frozen in flight, the ripple of a wave that once touched the shore, the flicker of firelight reflected in human eyes. The abyss is showing you memories, not yours, not anyone's, but the planet's. You see ancient forests stretch across continents, then vanish under glaciers. You see deserts bloom with color, then turn to dust. You see lightning strike an empty plain, giving birth to fire and fear and thought. And then you see man, the first steps, the first tools, the first spark that divides survival from purpose, the first moment of awareness, the moment when life looks upon itself and asks, why? The darkness deepens again. The visions become faster, brighter. Cities rise, empires fall, oceans rise again, mountains break. The world repeats its own story over and over. Each version faster, louder, more fragile. You see the glow of lights across continents, the hum of machines, the flicker of progress. You see the noise, the speed, the ambition, and then you see the silence that follows. The ocean reclaims what was once land. The forests return. The ice spreads again. The circle closes. The deep hum never stops. The abyss of time holds no judgment. It simply records every victory, every failure, every heartbeat, every extinction it remembers. The darkness speaks now, not in sound but in sensation. It tells you that nothing is truly lost, that every moment still exists somewhere within it. That time is not destruction, it is transformation. You feel the presence of every creature that ever lived moving through you. The trilobite, the mammoth, the whale, the wolf, the human. Their memories are threads, and you are moving through their weave. You are not separate from them. You are them. You are the continuation of everything that ever breathed. The darkness trembles once more. The sound changes. A deep resonance builds in the water, echoing through your chest like the toll of a cosmic bell. The light returns faint, flickering, golden. You realize it is not coming from the sea or the earth, but from within you. The abyss is not showing you the past anymore. It is showing you yourself. Your reflection is not flesh, but energy. Not bound by form, but by memory. You see within yourself the same elements that built stars, the same salt that fills the sea, the same rhythm that drives the tides. You are made of the same material as the universe. You are its echo. You are its continuation. The abyss begins to fade. The darkness loosens its grip. The deep hum softens, turning into a whisper. It says, everything returns. Everything transforms. Everything endures. You rise slowly, carried by the same current that once pulled you down. The pressure eases. The water warms. Faint light begins to filter from above. You are leaving the memory behind. But it does not leave you. The ocean grows lighter. The blue returns. You pass through layers of sound, the distant rumble of the deep, the faint songs of whales, the hiss of current and life. When you break the surface, the world greets you with light. The horizon burns gold. The sky wide and infinite. You take a breath. And for the first time, you truly understand it. The breath itself is ancient. It has passed through 1,000 lungs, 1,000 lives. It has been inside the trees, the whales, the winds, the stars. It is all the same air. It is all the same life. The sea behind you glows faintly under the setting sun, calm and endless. Beneath it, the abyss of time still waits, still dreams, still remembers. You look at the waves and feel a quiet knowing settle in your chest. The world is not fragile. It is eternal. The light fades. The stars emerge, scattered like embers across the dark. The same stars that watched the birth of oceans. The same stars reflected in the eyes of the first creature to look up at the night and wonder. And as you drift upon the surface, the ocean beneath you whispers once more, not in words, but in rhythm. The same rhythm that began at the dawn of time, the same rhythm that will continue long after the last light fades, the rhythm of life, the rhythm of the earth, the rhythm of everything that ever was. You close your eyes and listen, and the universe breathes with you. The ocean releases you slowly, as if reluctant to let go. The surface glows above, a shifting veil of light trembling between worlds. You rise through the water like a dream returning to memory. The current loosens, the pressure fades, and the silence begins to thin. For a moment, you hover between darkness and dawn. Behind you lies eternity. Ahead, the world. The light touches your face first, soft, golden, alive. It ripples through the water, bending and breaking into shards that dance before your eyes. Each ray feels familiar, like the echo of something you once knew but had forgotten. The surface draws nearer. You can hear it now. Faint but clear, the rhythm of waves, the whisper of air, the heartbeat of the living world above. You take one last glance into the deep below, where the darkness still glows faintly with its hidden light. And then you rise. The ocean breaks around you. The air rushes in. You breathe. For a moment, it feels as though you are inhaling for the first time in your life. The sky opens before you, vast and endless. Painted in soft shades of orange and blue, clouds drift like slow-moving islands. The wind brushes your skin, cool and fragile, carrying the scent of salt and sunlight. You are no longer beneath the sea. You are home. Yet the world feels different now. The horizon stretches wider. The air tastes older. Every sound, the waves, the wind, the distant cry of birds feels alive, as if it carries the memory of the depths you've left behind. You realize that nothing above truly exists apart from what lies below. The sea and the sky are mirrors, one reflecting the other, each breathing for the other. You float in silence for a while, listening to the heartbeat of the ocean beneath you. It is faint now, distant, but you can still feel it steady, patient, eternal. The same pulse that beats in the Arctic ice, in the depths of the abyss, in the whisper of coral and the cry of the whale. It is the rhythm of the earth itself. The sun climbs higher. The sea glitters like glass. You begin to swim, not toward land, but toward the light. Each movement feels weightless, each breath measured, each moment infinite. You are no longer separate from the sea, you are part of its breath, its memory, its endless motion. You remember what you've seen, the frozen silence of the Arctic, the shimmering song of whales, the ruins of forgotten cities sleeping beneath the waves, the abyss that held the memory of time itself. They are not just places, they are truths. You have carried them with you, and now they live within your pulse. The waves rise and fall. The rhythm of the sea syncs with your breath. The world feels slower now, clearer. The chaos of sound and thought that once filled your mind is gone. In its place, there is understanding. You see the world not as separate pieces, but as one unbroken circle, light feeding dark, dark feeding light, life feeding death, death feeding life. The same pattern written in snow, in stone, in blood, in time. You tilt your head toward the horizon, where the sun meets the water. The line between sky and sea blurs until it disappears. You cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. That is the truth of it. There are no lines. There never were. The air grows warmer. Seabirds circle overhead, their wings catching the light as they call to one another. Their voices echo across the water, sharp and fleeting, yet timeless. They are descendants of the same creatures that once watched the first waves rise. Their flight is a continuation of everything that came before. The ocean shimmers with life beneath you. Schools of fish, rays of light, patterns moving in rhythm with unseen tides. Each motion, each flicker, is a heartbeat in the body of the world. You begin to move toward the shore. It is not far, but it feels like another world entirely. The sand gleams pale beneath the waves. The sound of the surf deepens, rolling through the air like the slow exhale of the planet. You feel the current shifting around your body, guiding you, carrying you gently forward. When your feet touch the sand, the world feels solid again. The water swirls around your ankles, warm and shimmering. Each wave that breaks against your legs feels like a greeting, a farewell, a promise. You stand in silence, letting the sea recede, watching as it draws its silver breath back toward the horizon. Behind you, the land stretches out green hills, wind-shaped rocks, the whisper of trees in the distance. The air is filled with the hum of life, soft and steady, as if the earth itself is singing. You take your first steps onto the shore. The sand shifts beneath your feet, sinking slightly, holding your weight. The sound of the surf follows you, softer now, like a voice speaking from far away. You turn back one last time. The ocean glows in the afternoon light, vast and endless. You understand now that it is not just water. It is memory. It is time. It is the beginning and the return. You close your eyes and listen. The wind moves through your hair. The air hums with life. You can still hear it, the deep song beneath everything. The same song that began at the dawn of creation. The same rhythm that carried you through the Arctic, through the ruins, through the abyss. The rhythm of existence, the rhythm of all things. The ocean is no longer behind you. It is within you. You walk inland, and with every step, the world feels sharper, brighter. The sound of birds, the warmth of sunlight, the whisper of grass. They all carry the pulse of the sea. You begin to see the world as it truly is, a breathing, moving being, vast and alive, ancient and new. The clouds drift across the sky like thoughts. The wind carries the scent of both earth and salt. The trees sway, their leaves shimmering like the surface of water. Everything moves to the same invisible rhythm. You stop near a small pool, where the tide has left its reflection. The water is still. In it, you see the sky, the clouds, the glint of sunlight, and your own face. For a moment, it is unclear which side you are on, above or below. You realize that there is no difference. You are both the ocean and the sky, the surface and the deep. You kneel and touch the water. The ripples move outward in perfect circles, spreading wider and wider until they vanish into the reflection of the sun. In that instant, you understand what the deep tried to tell you. Everything is one breath, one motion, one endless transformation. The world does not end, it changes. The air grows quiet. The wind slows. The world seems to hold its breath with you. Then, somewhere far away, thunder rolls a sound, deep and slow, like the echo of the earth's heartbeat. You look toward the horizon and see clouds forming in the distance. The next storm is coming, but this time, it doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like continuation. The sea will rise. The rain will fall. The wind will turn. And the world will renew itself again and again. You smile. The ocean has given you its memory. The abyss has given you its truth. And now, the surface gives you its light. The three worlds are one: the frozen silence of the Arctic, the black fire of the deep, and the golden breath of the surface. Together, they are the story of life itself. The sun begins to set. The sky turns gold, then crimson, then violet. The light touches the waves, and the sea turns to molten glass. You stand there, motionless, watching the day end, knowing that endings are only beginnings in disguise. The world glows. The air shivers. The sea sighs. You close your eyes and breathe once more, slow and deep, letting the air fill your lungs. When you exhale, it feels like the ocean breathing through you, and in that single breath, you understand everything, that the journey was never about reaching the surface, but about remembering that you were never separate from it. You open your eyes. The stars begin to appear. Their reflections shimmer on the water's edge. Infinite and near, somewhere far out at sea, a whale sings. Its voice rises through the waves, reaching for the sky. It is both a farewell and a beginning. The wind carries it to you, faint but clear. You listen, and for a moment, the world is perfectly still. The sound moves through the air, through the sea, through you. It is the same song that has always been the song of the earth, the song of time, the song of everything that lives and endures. You stand between sky and sea, between breath and silence, between what was and what will be. The tide touches your feet once more, cool and fleeting, as if to say, "Remember." You whisper back, "I will." The sea retreats, the stars burn brighter, and somewhere in the endless dark, the ocean dreams again,